I don't understand. He said we'll take comment on other things, but nothing on anything that was pertaining to Have you heard last week? Like the village trying to rush this thing through. Well, the other thing is we
Those in the audience, we're about to get started. Thank you.
why
For those watching tonight's meeting virtually, the meeting is available to live stream via the Park District website. All information about Park District meetings can be found at winpark.org under the Park District Info tab by selecting Board Meetings and Videos. Public comments are accepted in person. A link to the video and audio will be posted immediately following this evening's meeting. To improve sound while listening to the meeting, please turn up the volume on your computer and turn up the volume on the website. There is a slight picture delay when the video switches between camera views. The audio will remain on during this brief delay. The meeting packet for tonight's meeting is located on the website. For those attending today's meeting, the emergency exits from the room are the door behind you or through the foyer. The board asks for your cooperation to maintain decorum. Personal remarks are not permitted, and interruptions should be limited to valid points of order or privilege. Please be considerate and refrain from interrupting board members and other speakers. We are a community coming together to discuss difficult issues in a civil and respectful fashion. Welcome to the July 1, 2026 Winnetka Park District Board of Commissioners special meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 4:32 and ask Saba to take a roll call for attendance.
Commissioner Koto?
Here.
Commissioner Formey?
Here.
Commissioner Rapp?
Here.
Commissioner Root?
Present.
Commissioner Tyson?
Here.
Commissioner Seaman?
Here.
President Gibson?
Here. At this time, please stand if you're able for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have one to section 1.3 of the agenda, and then may I have a motion to approve the July 1, 2026 special meeting agenda as presented? So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion here? No? Right. May I have a voice vote on this, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you all for coming this afternoon. Many of you were at last night's village meeting, so this is a big time commitment from you. We will have public comment at this meeting. First, I want you to know that the Park District did not reject the village's proposed pilot program for off-leash dog beach at Tower Road. The purpose of this meeting today, called on Monday afternoon, is to consider the proposed dog beach pilot program at Tower Road Beach. At our June 25th, 2026 meeting, we asked our attorney to seek a further change to a document required for the pilot program. And in light of that requested change and some other outstanding operational items that needed attention, we undertook as a board to set up a special meeting in less than a week to vote on the pilot program. We have responded promptly to the village on the pilot program every time, sharing operational insights and so on. I planned to say the following at last night's village meeting, but I was unable, so I will say it now. The village, council members, and staff have expended a tremendous amount of time and energy in planning the pilot program. We appreciate that work that has gone into the plan, and I think it's a real solution for dog owners who want to have their dogs off leash on a beach and for whom the early morning hours work. The Park District cannot offer an off-leash dog beach option at this time because we do not have permitting approval from the village for a barrier that we're required to have. The second option that Bob Dearborn, the village president, enumerated in his introduction last night is that of a pilot dog beach program at Tower and the ability to have dogs on Centennial, even if that is only on leash. That was never proposed to us, but certainly would have been considered by our board. Up until last night, the proposal was to move the dog beach to Tower as part of that pilot program. It's untrue that the Park District is not on notice from Cook County Animal Control that we need a barrier on Centennial in order to prevent dogs from wandering off the beach. In addition to written communications and in-person meetings with animal control officers and leadership, advice of legal counsel in connection with Cook County's animal and rabies control ordinance and related regulations. At the village's meeting, May 19, 2026, Cook County Commissioner Scott Britton, at the 1 hour, 16 minute, and 30-second time stamp, spoke at the meeting to say that, quote, "From my perspective, if you want a dog off leash in the village of Winnetka on Lake Michigan, there has to be some sort of barrier. That's all I know is a fact," end quote. Second, the Park District is well aware of our passionate dog beach constituency. We know that all would like to have an off-leash dog beach at Centennial, and we've tried over the years many different plans to accomplish this, starting with a simple replacement of a chain link fence that was originally installed in 2009 to stop dogs from running over to Elder Swim Beach. The requirements, regulations, and permit requirements have only become more and more complicated as time passes. We will continue to endeavor to work with the village for a solution here. Okay? At this time, I would like to turn to public comment. This is your opportunity to address the board on any issue. When called upon, please come to the center position in front of the commissioners, stand at the podium, speak in the microphone, and state your name for the record. Please address your comments directly to the board. In accordance with section 4.2 of the board policy manual and is referenced in Public Access Counselor Opinion 2024 PAC 81900, each speaker is permitted up to 3 minutes to provide public comment after being recognized. Speakers may not combine, transfer, or yield their allotted time to others. If you prefer to submit your comments in writing this evening, you may do so by providing them to a member of the Park District staff. At this time, I'm going to start with the back row and ask speakers to come forward in an orderly fashion as you sort of assign yourselves.
Could I ask a question before we do this, just real quickly, clarification? Why has no fence been approved? Like, what is the fundamental issue with approving a fence? Like, what is the problem? Like, I guess that's what I'm a little unclear on. Like, can't we do a pretty fence, or what's the issue?
So we can address that after public comment. I'd be more than happy to share the process that we've embarked on, and we can. I think a lot of people here have several different ideas. But what I would say is we are a separate taxing body than the village. However, we are subject to zoning requirements imposed by the village, and thus far, the different fencing plans that we've proposed that have attempted to satisfy various regulations have not been approved by the village.
And those were approved for Tower Beach?
Well, let's go to public comment and then we can address that. Okay, so in the back row, there's so many people, I'm hoping you can just sort of assign yourselves the order that you go into, but let's start at the back row with public comment.
My name is Kimberly Marsh. I'm a fob holder and daily user of Centennial Dog Beach for 30 years. The current majority of the Winnetka Park District Board created this fiasco by insisting that a chain link fence on the sand was the only solution to achieve an off-leash, dog-friendly area. The Winnetka Park District repeatedly lied to us by stating that Cook County Animal Control regulations require a fence on the sand. The current fob gate on the bluff meets all Cook County animal control requirements for dog-friendly areas, such as a dog beach bordered by Lake Michigan. All of the chaos and divisiveness regarding the on-leash requirement for swimming dogs, haphazard and mystifying ranger enforcement, and the proposed closing of Centennial Dog Beach serves one resident who created his own problem by building next to a dog beach that has operated happily without incident for 30 years. The Winnetka Park District, not the Village of Winnetka, is solely responsible for this mess because of their ongoing insistence on serving the needs of one individual. I would like to suggest a sensible solution. The repeal of the Winnetka Park District leash requirement on the sand and its enforcement through sporadic leash law education by rangers. The purported safety concern about marauding dogs straying to Elder Beach can be solved. Each swimming beach, i.e. Tower, Maple, and Elder, as well as the Lloyd Boating Beach, hosts an attendant at the entrance to check passes and control access to authorized patrons. The Ranger program is budgeted at $90,000 for this season to employ 5 rangers. Why not post a ranger in a beach chair at the south border of Elder during the hours the beach is open? I believe this solution would be acceptable to fob holders by encouraging each dog owner to be mindful and make sure their dog does not stray or risk losing their fob. Thank you.
I'd like to read directly from the Cook County Animal Control regulations. So Cook County Animal Control has jurisdiction over the animal control laws in the entirety of Cook County as of right now. The rules for dog-friendly areas say a dog park must be completely enclosed by a contiguous fence with each entrance designed in such a manner as to secure against accidental opening.
On land.
There is nothing in the rule that distinguishes a beach from any other property. There's nothing in the ordinance which distinguishes where this rule applies.
How does Wilmette have a dog beach? How does Lake Forest have a dog beach? How do all these municipalities have dog beaches?
Let's have their comment.
Chicago has one too.
Yeah, Montrose.
All right, I'm gonna go with the order in the back row, and I would like people to sort of assign themselves who speaks next, please.
Hi, Ted Wanichenko. So the 3-minute rule seems to be like a little bit behind us now. He's right about the ordinance, and the commissioner didn't really say anything to conflict with that. I mean, I find the whole thing about the fencing kind of like the same thing as saying, well, you know, speed limit of 55 is only valid if you choose to follow it. But in any case, I'm here because it all does seem to be clearly designed to benefit one taxpayer at the expense of, I would say, some, and more at the expense of others. So I still haven't gotten my key fob because I have applied for it and I want it on the same terms as everyone else. But no, the administration made a decision that if I don't have a dog, I am only allowed one person. But if I have a dog, I can bring, like, you know, my 30 closest relatives with me to the beach. So it seems to me that that taxation without representation is an issue, and this board has sat quietly and allowed this inequitable and discriminatory treatment to occur. I've asked you repeatedly to just say you agree that I should not be given the same benefits for the same money as others, and you just sit there quietly and you don't provide me my key fob. And now you're doing this whole thing about, like, if you exit a beach or an area that has a gate, a controlled gate, you can only exit entry through the gate. I find that interesting because it's written in a broad sense, but it only applies to one location. And so anyone that were to happen to traverse the beach north or south could get their key fob taken away. And we already know that the south neighbor has sent letters to others who were properly walking their dogs on leashes, saying that somehow Park District rules apply south of Centennial Beach. It's all very disappointing and all very sad. And I believe it shows a level of dishonor that, you know, really is unfortunate. You guys should be representing the entire community, all taxpayers. I still don't know if a dog beach belongs anywhere, but I'm not gonna go there. I mean, there are compromises I can see. But in this case, you had your park rangers spreading misinformation, is my understanding. I can't go there because I don't have a key fob, right? But I hear things. And here we are. And I knew this wasn't gonna go anywhere because this fails the one most important aspect, I might go a few seconds longer, the one most important aspect of the whole purpose of the beach there now. If we go back in time, originally, when this whole land swap was going on, the beach was leaving. It was gonna not be there because there was gonna be a louvered fence 250 feet out into the lake. I'm about done. But you were talking about other people, so 250, and of course at that point the southern owner was, I don't want the dogs there because they're gonna make noise and I have a fence going 250. But when that fence went away, all of a sudden, what's the next best option? A fence for a dog park, and you guys have been complicit.
Hold applause, that's actually not the way this meeting goes. We can applaud several different viewpoints, but we're not gonna do that. Can we have the next person in the back come up and speak, please?
While that person comes up, can I ask a clarifying question from last night to tonight, to today? Last night they said, and maybe.
Please come up to the microphone so it can be recorded what your comment is, please.
Okay, I don't need 3 minutes, I'm just asking. Last night they said that the village was now giving the.
State your name and make your public comment.
Megan O'Meara, I live in, he followed it. So last night when I was at the meeting, the village said that they were giving the decision to the park district. Is that true?
What decision?
On Centennial as far as off-leash
We cannot
and
enter into question and answer.
barriers?
We can't enter into question, I'm sorry, we just can't do it.
Okay, but David, just help me understand what these people are saying.
But we can answer during the course of the meeting.
Right.
It's following public comment. You can answer, you can't do.
David's a friend of mine, so I don't mind it going at me.
That's not.
But it would just be more clear to me as these people are asking for what they're asking, if you're truly in charge of the beach versus the village. Because that's what they said last night.
Very confusing.
They said they're giving it to you. Okay, David.
The village put a proposal in front of this body. Okay? They delivered us their proposal to, one, have an off-leash dog park at Tower. Their property, we've got to work through that lease. We have a lease since 1942 that we operate on their property as well as our property at Tower. As part of that agreement, they put in the document they delivered us to close Centennial, okay? For dogs. We didn't negotiate this with them. They delivered those terms and conditions to us.
That was not said last night.
Well, that's the fact.
Yeah, I believe you, but I'm just
So-
saying it wasn't said.
I could go on for days, but we are here, this body is here to discuss the proposal from the village, and I would gather, vote on the proposal. There has been an inefficient, unfortunate timing difference. We had a board meeting, they had a special, ours came after their special, therefore we could not vote up or down prior to their special board meeting. But we are here tonight to talk about the proposal that was delivered to us. I'll say one thing, there's already been one comment that we've requested Centennial be closed. Not true. This is not our agreement. This is an agreement that was delivered to this body by the village. That's the facts.
Can you post it
Madam
online?
Chair, if you are permitting commissioners to speak, I think there's one more important point to be made. The village, with its proposal for a pilot program on Tower, as a home rule municipality, has the authority to pass ordinances that would approve an off-leash dog park. And that is exactly what they were proposing on Tower and without a fence. They were proposing other options than a fence. So I think that is very important to understand. And then point of clarification, they were saying that when they had their pilot, dogs would go to Tower. So that was a temporary period, and that the Centennial could, at the end of the pilot, reopen for dogs if the park district was so inclined to do that. And so I want to clarify that, because as a home rule municipality, this village has the right to tell Cook County, we're going to do this.
We don't have that.
We don't have.
Well, it is my opinion
I know, we'll talk about that.
that we don't,
We
as
will
a
talk
park
about
district.
But
The
I think that was
village
a
does.
really good clarification.
I just
think
wanted
you
to-
just answered a bunch of
Okay,
more
thank you.
questions.
Thank you for permitting
Yeah.
me to
Okay.
speak.
So this is very unorthodox for our meetings, but I think that those both will maybe help people that are here for public comment. And again, I'm going to ask people in the back row who wish to give public comment to come forward in some sort of agreed, orderly way.
To the next one.
No? All right, the row, second row up from the back, please.
I won't be long because I think I talked enough last night. When you guys spoke last week about this, I believe one of you is a dog owner.
Can you please state your name?
Edward Farmer, Evob. One of you is a dog owner and mentioned that if you put a lineup at Tower Beach, 50 dogs would go past it on the first day. And so then you guys talked about the fact that if dogs go past that, you're gonna, 3 times, you're gonna take away their fobs. But it was your expectation that that would be happening over and over again. So is it really a solution if you expect it to fail? Thanks.
Hi, my name is Christine Casper. I live at 226 Sheridan Road, and I'm a Dog Beach fob holder. And I know we can't have dialogue, but I'm just trying to get some really good clarity on this issue. I'm trying to understand how if Cook County Animal Control has these rules that are so ironclad that the Dog Beach was allowed to operate for so many years without any fence. I mean, I'm appreciative to calling in for pointing out that home rule would allow a non-fenced beach on village property. And that's really good clarity, but it seems that if you were gonna apply the rules of a dog park, then you would need a chain link fence in Lake Michigan to keep dogs from swimming to Indiana? I mean, I don't understand. I need clarity. And I've really looked and done the research, and I've tried to find where it's stated in the record, and I appreciate the citation that there was a person who actually did say this, and we have it on video, we can review that. But the only thing I can find in my research is the assertions of the board itself that this is what Cook County requires. And I know the Park District can require a fence, like you can do it, but I just want us to be clear about whose authority is forcing this issue and how we can, hopefully get back to having dogs be able to play. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else in the second to last row that wishes to speak?
Hi, I'm Karen Borwald. We live on Woodland in Winnetka, and we're fob owners. We have 2 Labradors. First, thank you for your time. I know you're all volunteers, and I do appreciate it. It's a tough job. Sometimes they think it's a job. I think one thing about Winnetka is special, that we could always take our dogs to the beach. I've lived here my entire life. And there seems to be the village versus the park district, and I would ask that you rise above some of that really hard and do whatever you have to do to get dogs free again on this beach. Whether it is a fence, whether it is something to do with home rule, it was very helpful, your comment, to understand where home rule stands on all of this. And I would just encourage all of you to really push hard, and activity doesn't count for anything, let's see results. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the second to last row?
I'm Chris Riesheim. Requests for dog beach fencing have come from the southern neighbor and representatives thereof as follows. In February, on the 26th of 2025, Ms. Nazal wrote, "The other option that representatives of the southern neighbor have requested to both our legal counsel and Cook County Animal Control is fencing in the dog beach. 2 months later, in April 2025, the Park District submitted beach fencing permit applications to the IDNR, the Army Corps, and Cook County Animal Control. I have a legal question, which is if the village has home rule authority that extends out into the lake, it has zoning authority over the park district and all aspects of the village. Is it possible that it can exercise that to make clear that Centennial Dog Beach may function as it always has, as an off-leash dog beach within boundaries that are demarcated by multiple steel groins and also a massive armored stone breakwater that by the terms of the southern homeowner's own shoreline permit extends over his northern property line where Centennial Beach is located. The village will be adhering to Illinois' Animal Control Act 2022 amendment that deems supervised off-leash dogs to be lawfully present in dog-friendly areas like Centennial Beach, dog parks, which as Mr. Simon has noted, even if fully fenced, would require dogs to be leashed without a similar provision applying to dog parks, and an animal in areas where hunting is permitted. And all three of these different areas would allow off-leash dogs without them being deemed to be running at large. I think we can move past this awful waste of time and resources on unnecessary fencing and restore some order to us. And I am talking about the Declaration of Independence. And it says about the king, he has excited domestic insurrections amongst us. And here I'm referring to last night's meeting where the park district was jeered at for its awful proposals, its threats to democracy, non-representative behavior, and abandonment of its public mission. I am also talking about he has sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. And here I'm talking about the park districts unleashing park rangers among us and issuing threats of eviction from all park district property, banning children from the beach, and threatening $1,000 fines. Please become involved with the Winnetka Caucus. Participate in slating ethical, representative candidates who are committed to publicly oriented park operations and who are not scornful of the public. Thank you.
We have to keep it. Is there anyone who's okay to stand? We have some. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Angie Dahl. I'm a former commissioner. I've lived in the village for over 30 years. My husband and I have been active users of the dog beach since its inception. The dog beach at Centennial was established in 1995, providing an opportunity for residents both with and without pets to enjoy a peaceful gathering place to share time together. This public space has been enjoyed for over 31 years without any problem with pets or people. But in 2021, that all changed. Beginning sometime in 2021, representatives of the Winnetka Park District engaged in numerous private and legally questionable negotiations with a prospective homeowner to repurpose Centennial and to eliminate the dog beach. At one point, a $3 million donation was proffered, but with significant restrictions. To my knowledge, the $3 million has never been paid. Last night, the village council declined to act on a proposal that was largely crafted by the Winnetka Park District to temporarily relocate a dog beach to Tower Road. This so-called creative or elegant solution served little purpose. This could be perceived to be an effort to mollify a homeowner who made the conscious decision to build a home next to a public park and dog beach and now doesn't like it. This raises the question of who is the constituency being served. A single homeowner with unfulfilled promises of paying millions to achieve his personal goals, or the entire Winnetka community who supports the continued use of Centennial
as it has served the community for over 31 years. It is common knowledge within the village that this homeowner has threatened lawsuits against the village, the Winnetka Park District, the commissioners of the Winnetka Park District, and trustees of the village, that unless they serve his interests as opposed to those of the community, he will file some sort of a lawsuit. This would impose a substantial burden on all Winnetka taxpayers. However, should a lawsuit be filed, many in the community will welcome the opportunity for a thorough review of the discovery materials that most certainly will be produced. The Winnetka Park District Board has little credibility at the moment in the village, largely due to the complete mismanagement of the situation since 2021. The numerous questionable decisions made by this board during this process have become a flashpoint with the community. This was evident last night. Please have the courage to do your fiduciary duty and to act on behalf of the entire community. Thank you.
If individuals needed a place to sit, there are some seats in the lobby as well.
Good evening. Linda Welch, 30-year user of the Dog Beach. Last month, I went to the Montrose Dog Beach. It is 3.8 acres. It's huge, it's beautiful. I counted at least 50 people at the Dog Beach and as many dogs, peacefully coexisting. It was a lovely sight to see a beautiful day. There are rocks, low rocks, much lower than 205's rocks, bordering the north edge. There is a see-through plastic fence, dune fencing, quite flimsy, separating a large people beach from the dog beach. There is a gate with some chain link fencing to enter. And at the west end of this beach, at least half of that, 1.5 acres, is open to the table end. No chain link fencing, no problem. I have been to Wilmette Dog Beach on numerous occasions. They have rocks, and they have a flimsy dune fencing with that lightweight fencing separating the sailing beach from the dog beach, rocks on the other side, no chain link fencing, no problem. My understanding is both these beaches are in Cook County. Please keep our Centennial Dog Beach open. Please listen to the public. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else in the second to last?
Rob Schriesheim, 656 Maple Street, resident, taxpaying citizen. Thanks for everything you guys are doing, at least the time you're putting into it. On multiple occasions, the Park District has testified under submitted testimony that refutes the permit application's false representations that Cook County ordered it to put up fencing on Centennial Beach. To date, the Park District has produced nothing to support that representation. Commissioner Britton's May 19, 2026 testimony to the Village Council refutes the Park District's representation. He said he could not speak to fencing, if I recall, and that solely as a personal insurance attorney, he would say that barriers are needed. Two easily located statements by Mr. Catoulis, January 23 meeting minutes, state that like at the Evanston Dog Beach, a steel groin may serve as a natural barrier for the Centennial Dog Beach. And in answering ZBA's Fall 24 questions, 2024, he said that Cook County's ordinance would have to be amended to apply to dog beaches abutting Lake Michigan, e.g. or i.e. There are no fencing rules that currently apply. In response to ZBA Commissioner Haller's question as to the necessity for fencing in Lake Michigan, Ms. Nizal conceded that it is not the only option, describing what is needed as on a case-by-case basis. Cook County Animal Control has been consulting with the Cook County Law Department and the state's attorney's office over the course of 3 calendar years because of what appears to be, on first impression, the Park District's contradictory and illogical claims that Cook County has mandatory fencing rules for Lake Michigan dog beaches, that Cook County's ordinance does not apply to dog areas that abut Lake Michigan and that these rules would need to be amended to apply. The Park District also has seemingly had numerous interactions with the veterinarian who leads the animal control to claim non-existent legal authority to waive the code's requirements. Keep in mind that the administrator would come under constant pressure to accede to requests for unauthorized waivers if the district were to get its way, even for vaccinations or other health and safety requirements. To date, Cook County has not signed off on the Park District's overreaching requests, most recently stating on April 17th of 2026, something along the lines of, we're going to ask for a state attorney office opinion on the Winnetka Dog Park. It has also expressed an ongoing need to review the legalities of the Park District's project, November of 2025, discussed awareness of shoreline access issues, November of 2025, has said its ordinance does not speak directly to the Park District's unique situation, quote unquote, November 2025, has stated that it did not grant a waiver of its fencing rules, November of 2024,
Please wrap up your comments.
and called the beach a dog-friendly area such that partial fencing does not violate the rules, September of 24. All of this is.
Please wrap up your comments. Your time is up.
Park District's misrepresentation that Cook County instructed it to build Lake Michigan dog beach fencing. You know, finally, as everybody knows, I settled my claim against the Park District related to the land swap solely because the Park District reached out, not because I wanted to, and asked. And in so doing, the settlement represented a clear victory for the law, namely that the public trust doctrine ensures public access to public beaches by the tax-paying citizens. After 30 years of community precedent, it now seems the Park District
I'm asking you to quiet up now.
construct a fenced cage on the beach, which serves as a ploy to once again essentially privatize or impede beach access and to favor the interests of a private property owner over the rights of the tax-paying public. You know, you can suppress somebody who's
We don't
paying
want to
taxes,
suppress it. We
but
let
that
you run
doesn't really-
over.
It's really not effective. It's really not effective. And it just shows the immaturity of judgment on your part and your lack of and your lack of respect for people that are taking the time to
We're
get up and
respecting
speak.
all the people that are sitting here listening, which is
Who
why
wants me
everyone.
to stop talking? Raise your hands.
I do.
3, great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Yeah.
The rules don't apply to you, do they, Rob? The 3-minute limit?
All right,
Generally speaking, the truth applies to everybody.
Can we go to the second, can we go to more people that wish to speak? All right, and Taylor, can you turn this? Thank you.
Hi, I'm gonna change the tone. My name is.
Excuse me,
Sarah May.
hey, Rob, John, please, come on.
Talk to John.
Both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak, I appreciate it. My name is Tara Mayer. I am a dog owner. I actually have a fob, I never use it. I think I've used it 3 times. I'm also a mom of a couple of teenagers. My husband and I moved to 292 Sheridan 8 years ago, and most of the time the beach has been closed. So I definitely want the beach open, right? Fun for everyone. I also am a person who really believes in compromise and kindness and caring to other human beings. That said, I believe there's a way for everybody to be happy. My husband and I had the fortune to have a sailboat at Beaumont Harbor in the city. There is a dog beach there. It runs beautifully. We also currently have a sailboat in Beaumont Harbor. And there's another example of a dog beach that is successful. People are following the rules. The handful of times I've been down to the Winnetka Dog Beach, I've seen nothing but friendliness to each other, people picking up after, respecting their dogs. I'm not certain what the answer is, but I am 100% sure that kindness and level-minded interaction can bring happiness to the community and a good solution. And that's, thank you.
Kathleen Smith. I wasn't planning to speak tonight, but something happened last night I've never seen in Winnetka. And I've lived here 40 years and I've attended many meetings. I believe one of the reasons it happened, and that is all the discord we saw last night, a lot of it may have happened because one or more of your park rangers last weekend approached everyone who came to the dog beach and said something like, you know, your leash has to be 6 feet or shorter, blah, 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 we're gonna take away your, and then he said, be sure to attend the village meeting on Tuesday night and state your complaints. You know, that's all wrong. It is not the village's purview to talk and fix Centennial Beach, it's yours. And I think that people who attended last night maybe didn't realize that the village is a separate taxing body from 3 others, from the parks, from the library, from the schools. The village does not have control of everybody in every area of this town. It's just not like that. So it worries me that somebody was feeding bad information from the park district to users of the dog beach and blaming the village, which really and truly, it's just misinformation. It's just wrong. So I think for all of you fine people who were here last night, and who were at the village last night, I so appreciated you being there. I think the misinformation came from the park district, and I'm not happy about that. I think that was a big mistake. Thank you.
President Gibson, can I make a comment on that? If that was the case, we'll look into it because that would absolutely be not appropriate by staff to do. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Can anyone else in the second to last row to make a public comment? Oh, we're going up to the next row. Okay.
Matthew Derrick, 1096 Oak Street. I'm actually a citizen of the King of England, but that's regardless. I think that the dog beach, we've had a dog for probably 15 years now, and we had no problems at all with it until very recently. And I think that it should be something that should be continued. And there will be 3 human swim beaches. Just make Elder Beach a dog beach too. And then you have 2 human beaches, and a dog beach, you don't need to match between them. Very easy solution.
Thank you. Is it, I guess we've moved to the second from the front, so I guess it's the second row. Is there anyone in the second row who wishes to speak? All right, let's move to the first row.
Hi, Tina Filippini. I am a resident and a fob holder. I appreciate those who have spoken about the various details of meetings that have been held and whatnot. I am just wondering where the 6 to 8 a.m. thing came up. It's like, how do we go from all day to 6 to 8 a.m.? It just seems insane. So I just would be curious where that came from. Clearly, it would be very few users who use it at that time, in my opinion. But the other thing is, I would like to see the actual complaints that were filed by whomever stated that dogs were going over to Elder. There should be some documentation that, maybe FOIA we can, request and see those. My experience, I'm down there nearly every day. I have never once seen a dog go over to Elder, which has just recently opened up as a people beach. And I mean, it would require that they jump up over, I don't even know. It just doesn't make sense. And then as far as the southernmost neighbor, I mean, he's built like a wall of rocks that go out. There's no way the dogs could go over there. So I don't know where this is all coming from, but somebody doesn't want us to have our dogs off leash. And I love the fact that you have a fob. I think that makes it real safe and secure and avoids, strangers coming onto the beach. And if we can just resume that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And my dog Tucker.
I'm going to change the topic for a second. My name is Charles Orr, and I was just wondering what the status of the lightning detection system at Northville Park in the, Winnetka Park District property that's in Northville is, what the status of that is. I don't know if that's something you can reply back to me. I know the precedent's been set for the back and forth, so I don't know if there is a date that you can give me or a status, or if you want to wait to respond to me in a different manner, that's great. Secondly, I'm just wondering, we were down at Tower Beach the other night. What is the status? I know maybe this is a village question. They fenced it farther back now, so there's no parking down on the pier. Is that something that the Park District is working with the village to get that pier finally repaired? Because if you want to have a dog beach and stuff down there, it's kind of making it more inconvenient for people who may be handicapped. So that was a question I had. And thirdly, I just want to make it perfectly clear, and I'm going to repeat myself, at no time have I ever been up here as a trustee for the Village of Northfield. I'm speaking as a Northfield resident, at a Village of Winnetka Park District resident. So I'm going to repeat that at no time. Anything that I've said or talked about is representing in any way anything from the Village of Northfield, whether it was about that or anything else that you're talking about. So I just want to make sure that that's perfectly clear. And I attended the meeting the other night. I think you guys did a great job. For those that weren't here, it went from like 6 to 11:30 at night. It was a very long meeting. And I appreciate you having another meeting today to discuss this and go through the things you're doing. So thank you very much for your time.
Do we have anyone else in the crowd?
My name's Katie Snyder. I apologize for my voice. I'm cold. And this issue is that important to me that I need to come here and make my voice heard, even if it's barely audible. Here I oppose the ordinance moving the dog beach from Centennial to the Tower Road beach in the early morning. In addition, I'm asking you to find a way to keep dogs off leash on Centennial Beach. I've lived in the village since 2012. One of the reasons we moved to Winnetka was the proximity to the lake and the wonderful dog beach the village has. We moved to Winnetka with our chocolate lab, Wrigley, we brought all the time until we passed in 2020. And now we have Daisy, we bring almost daily in the summer. Our family loves the lake and beach, and so do our dogs. We are regular users of Centennial, daily in the summer. And I have three main concerns. One, the notice about this thing, the pilot program as an alternative, and also the underlying premise of Centennial having a problem. First, the notice. This proposal came forward with very little advance warning. Many of us only learned about this days before this meeting. A change that eliminates a beloved summer amenity that we use daily, so there's more time and a real chance for public input. It's very upsetting that the first quiz I had was an email sent on a Friday evening, which I didn't even hear about until someone said, did you see it? Because Friday evening is notorious for missing emails. This is something that really should be discussed in the off-season, not during peak season. Secondly, and more importantly, this is not an acceptable alternative. The proposed window of 6 to 8:30 doesn't reflect how we actually use the beach. I realize this is an individual point, but most mornings are spent trying to get kids up, ready for camp, get ready for the day, getting them where we need to be. There's no time to take the dog to the dog beach. The afternoon is where we go. The dog gets a quick walk in the morning. In the middle of the day when it's so hot, 90 degrees, it's the perfect place to take a dog to swim. Perfect place for her to get her best exercise. And if you take that away, it just feels unacceptable to me. A short early time slot does not replace that. One of the things about Centennial is that it's open all day. It allows you to take your dog to the beach whenever it fits your needs. It's rarely super crowded. You can almost always get a parking spot. Moving it to Tower Road will change all of that. And not to mention, it may also create problems where there were none. Which brings me to my next point. The underlying premise that there's a problem with Centennial as a dog beach. Centennial is the safest option for dogs and dog owners. A nearby parking lot, an easy set of stairs at the washing station there to clean our dogs afterwards. Tower Road does not have any of that. Centennial is the best option for dogs. In all the years I've used it, I've never seen or heard about a problem with it. dog owners are responsible and they're invested in Centennial as the dog beach. The only issues and problems have come once the loud and litigious neighbor has moved into the south of the beach. Centennial's Dog Beach isn't a minor convenience. This is where many of us go every day, where our dogs get the best exercise, especially on the hottest of summer days, like today, and where a genuine community has formed. To take away in the middle of the summer with almost no notice and not a real alternative is egregious. In Winnetka, there are 3 wonderful beaches we will go to, Tower Maple and now the reopened Elder. And the recently replenished Lloyd Beach is perfect for boating, kayaks, and whoever wants to hang out there. But Centennial's for dogs and dog owners ensure remain open. That is what we expect we buy our beach passes in good faith for the year. To change it now and not to mention the way it is being done is unacceptable. I'm asking the board to oppose this program and find a way, like I had good faith when I bought my fob. When I bought my fob, I had good faith that Centennial will be open through this peak season and that we can all come to a solution during the off season. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Nice hustle.
Hi, my name is Meg Zeal. I'm a teacher in Winnetka, so I know what it's like to have a lot of unhappy Winnetka parents looking at you. Just kidding. They're not usually unhappy, right? I do really want to say thank you. This is a really annoying position to be in. You come in with goodwill and people are upset. It's just a bummer, especially when you invest a lot of time in it. I really thank you for volunteering your time. I'm so heartened to hear that it really sounds like this is a lot of misunderstanding. It sounds like there might be permissible use to have off-leash locations on a beach safely. That's fabulous. It also sounds like, okay, just because the pilot program may not make sense right now, that's okay, we don't need to close Centennial. I think everyone can leave here feeling happy. I know I learned a few things today. I really appreciated the history of the park. I didn't quite realize it's a really cool history, and I do just want to echo, there is no problem. This beach is operating as designed. It's a slice of heaven. It is the best way to de-stress from anything. There's nothing happier than a gaggle of happy dogs. Like, it just boosts your serotonin and your oxytocin and all your dopamine. It's such a good age of mental health. This is where everyone should go. And not to mention that, it is an asset. This adds value to our community. You all know that this school enrollment was dipping for a period of time. There's questions, how do we bring young people? Well, no one else has a dog beach this good, okay? No one. When people are visiting me out of town, I bring them to the dog beach and they're astounded. I'm like, yeah, move here, okay? So I think it's wonderful. We're all in agreement. I think we can leave here celebrating. You know, that's my hope. And I do want to thank you for your time and how much you care. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lynn Jackson. I live at 695 Prospect. I wrote a whole speech for last night and didn't get an opportunity to read it, so I revised it and would like to just get straight to the point. I'd like to address the intent of the Park District to make Centennial a passive beach. As we've all seen, there's incredibly strong support for an off-leash dog beach. We've had one in this community for decades. And I'm both furious and heartbroken that our leaders cannot work effectively together to come up with a workable solution so we may preserve Centennial for people and their dogs. Over the past several months, I've spoken to members of both the village and the Park District boards and have come away with nothing but a he said, she said explanation of why we are in this situation. Each side placing the blame squarely at the other's feet, and that was clearly on display last night. When asked why we cannot just install a simple fence at the north end of the beach, I was told by Parks that the village board rejected this plan a few years ago. When asked why the village board wouldn't approve a simple fence at the north end of the beach, I was told the only plan they've seen is an over-engineered cage-like fencing plan. This infighting has to stop. The only true winner here is the resident to the south of Centennial, who gets a passive beach to his north, no disturbances. Something that is not lost on any of us. Clearly, the village saw last night that we want a way to keep the unleashed dog beach where it is, and will hopefully revisit options for doing so. Can the Parks Board return to the village with a simple, minimal fencing plan? Install a simple gate at the north end and the south end. Make it as unintrusive as possible. Work together with the village to take advantage of home rule to our benefit. I know the hope is to join a part of the centennial with Elder someday. That is not happening anytime soon. HBS seems to have no interest in donating the land, and the community has no interest in buying it from him. So be open to keeping the status quo until sometime in the future when this may be a reality, and then move the northern fence down toward the south. It is time to put your differences aside and work with us to preserve this off-leash beach for our residents with dogs. Just like we've given a huge amount of lakefront access at Lloyd to our residents with boats, where we have issued far fewer lakefront boat passes than we do dog beach passes. Those, coupled with the 3 dedicated people beaches, are wonderful amenities that Winnetka offers to all its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't have time to speak in my role. My name is Iretta Brennan, and I lived at 1122 Gage. I've lived in Winnetka almost my whole life. I've raised 6 kids here. I was actually a Winnetka Park District counselor for several years, so I have worked for the organization, sent my kids to camp here. I was a Key Fob owner until I thought I'm not having Tater Tot be accosted by some park ranger who's going to tell her she has to be on a leash, which I think, I'm a nurse, that's one of the most dangerous things I've ever heard of for an animal, to be chasing tennis balls. Thank you, Centennial, for putting old tennis balls at the top of the beach. Yes. And that's all the dogs want to do, is chase tennis balls in the water. I've witnessed this for years. I'm asking this board, and I thank you again for your time, to represent the village of Winnetka, to not represent one owner. We're all taxpayers, we all love, I didn't choose to live in the western suburbs, even though my husband currently still does, and he goes back and forth, because of Lake Michigan. I chose to live in Winnetka and raise my kids here because of Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan cannot be tamed. It is an ocean. I lived on Sheridan for 10 years at 667. There have been more accidents with boating and deaths from boating and drownings than there have been any incident at the dog beach. And I worry about this pilot program. Pilots are meant to be a study. If they fail, the pilot goes away, there's no access anywhere, and then this is just a dead point. I want to thank every single person that's come. I've never heard of more meetings in my life, in the evening, in the afternoon, about this one issue. A friend over here said this should be a joyful thing. Why is this coming to this? I think it's one of the most ridiculous wastes of time. There should be a compromise. This should be a dog-friendly area offered. So again, thank you.
Thanks,
Hello, I'm Sally Tomlinson. I live at 653 Walden Road. First, I want to thank you, all of you Park District Commissioners, for volunteering your time. I think I worked with many of you in Costa. I gotta say, losing hair, it's turning gray, and it's all because of this dog issue. Since 2019, it's like, oh my God, stop. So a couple of things, a history lesson, a math lesson, and then an offer. The history lesson, I feel like we need to go back a second because I don't understand what all of this stuff is. And I want to make sure we're all aligned on the fact that we need an off-leash dog beach at Centennial. In 2016, the Park District conducted a needs assessment survey in which an off-leash dog park was a top 5 priority and a number 2 unmet need. Interestingly, the survey never polled for the importance of an off-leash dog beach, perhaps because it already existed. So I can only offer anecdotal evidence of the beach's importance by the attendance of the 100+ dog owners. That room was completely packed at a Park District meeting after conceptual drawings of the 2030 lakefront plan surfaced without a dog beach. Shortly thereafter, in 2022, I served on a dog beach committee which was charged with finding an alternate location. I feel like the birth of NIMBY came out of all of that. There was nothing happening in terms of moving a dog beach. That effort was for naught. But what remains is a community desire to preserve a wonderful amenity that has been part of our village since 1995. Again, anecdotally supported by the turnout at last night's village board meeting and the continued engagement with the Park District here tonight. Math lesson, Winnetka is blessed with 2,440 linear feet of public lakefront. Elder, Maple, and Tower represent over 1,000 feet, almost 50% of lakefront for swimmers and beachgoers use. Another 720 feet at Lloyd are available for boating recreation, and this leaves about 23% or 550 feet for not the dogs, but dog owners. people who chose to enjoy the lakefront with their four-legged family members. There has to be a solution in which all constituents are well served. I wish I had been able to express last night to the village the importance of their role in the approval process. If in fact we do need a fence, we've got to work together. And I know if we work together, we will find a simple, inexpensive, and aesthetically palatable solution. By the way, for anyone who objects to fencing, I would argue that the large granite break walls are kind of ugly, but it was a compromise to address erosion. So how can we find compromise? So here's my offer, and you guys are part of the offer. This is an engaged and compassionate and passionate group. How can we help? Let's get Centennial back to being off leash. Collect our emails, collect our phone numbers. If you need us showing up at zoning board meetings, if you need us talking to commissioners, village trustees, I think we're willing and able if you just give us a chance. I think we're all aligned in wanting to get an off-leash dog park back at Centennial. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jack Bolidarchi, and I live on Cherry Street. I've been a part of village government since probably 2007, starting with the Winnetka Caucus on the subcommittee that looked after Park District, and then moving on through Plan Commission, Village Council, and now I'm the chairman of the Historic Preservation Commission. My first time on a beach in Winnetka was 1963, probably the summer. I was born here, and Elder Lane and Centennial, after 1967, were my beaches. In 1967, in October, the hospital that was on Centennial Beach was knocked down, the North Shore Health Resort. As a little kid, I remember watching them tear down with wrecking balls the whole hospital. The village and the Park District, at the urging of the citizens, purchased Centennial Park and turned it into the park that it is. 1969 was the dedication. That beach has been the dog beach since 1968, at least. I went there with my dog. We lived on Essex. My mom still does. We went there over and over and over. Those we spent our entire summer was spent at Centennial dodging the lifeguards at Elder, who would get mad if you went into the water at Centennial. Completely open, unless the lifeguard yelled at you and told you to get out. Then you go hide up on the bluff until he stopped waiting. The reality is, when we first started going there, after they knocked the hospital down, there was a wooden staircase on the north side, an old red painted wooden staircase, and the path led down to the beach. After the village Park District came in, they put in the pathways that are there now, but there was also an extra one down to the beach. That was the way we got down to the beach.
Can you say that again? Can you just back up like 3 seconds?
Sure. You used to be able to get access to the beach without a fence or a fob or anything. It was open entirely.
Okay.
And there was never a problem about taking a dog there. We also went down to the beach at Willow Road, which you could go out into the pier that was there, and it was open all the way down. You could go down at Cherry Street. Right now, you can't go to Cherry Street. Well, when I tried to with my dog a couple of years ago, a Park District kid said, well, you can't go down there with your dog. I'm like, but this is a village beach. That got into some complexity, which I can't remember. But the last time I tried, there was a guard paid for, I think, by the new Clement Stone guy to keep people from going down, allegedly, to keep them from swimming and to keep dogs off the beach, although he let every single person who went by me while I was standing there fuming on a 95-degree day who wanted to swim down with swim ropes. So what that leads up to is a lack of access. The key fob system, quite honestly, I think is a terrible idea. And here's why. Because you don't need the money. You just don't. How much do you make from key fobs for the budget of this, of the Park District? It's really, I think I did sort of an off-the-cuff calculation, maybe $50,000. And now you've got less than that. And now you've got rangers creating the worst possible thing for a public eye, which is bad public relations. You hear it here. People are furious that they have to have some guy come up and threaten to take the key fob. So the key fob has become a point of contention. It's become coercion. And I think you really have to do what you can to get rid of the key fob system. And I'm just going to say very quickly, you don't, usually the groin blocks the dogs from going up on the beach. Last thing you should do, get rid of the key fob so people can go in and out, and they just do what they do in the city of Chicago, Wilmette, and every place else. And also, put up, if you have to put up a fence along the side, which I understand as a lawyer, I get the idea of wanting to avoid that problem, which is non-existent, but still, put a gate in a little, one of those little sand fences.
Okay,
Then, no problems.
thank you. Anyone else in the front row who wishes to make public comment? Okay, over there. Yes.
Feels bad being last.
Maybe you're not.
My name is Sam Weiser. I've lived in the village for more than 35 years. And I appreciate your time and your volunteering, and I don't want to in any way impugn the effort that's being made to find an equitable solution to this. And I'm not as educated as some of my fellow citizens who've spoken before me, but I have real difficulty in understanding the magnitude of the problem that you're trying to solve. And so I've gone through and looked for answers to questions that I have that I can't find. And so one, I want to know how many days Elder Beach has actually been open in the last 3 years. Because quite frankly, there's only a problem at Elder Beach if Elder Beach is open. Secondly, I want to know how many incidents of dogs going over to Elder Beach from Centennial have occurred ever. I haven't been able to find any quantification that there's a significant problem that actually exists. Third, I want to know what prevents a more natural barrier from being created higher than the one that exists that wouldn't necessarily change the aesthetic of what's there now, but would at least provide the necessary barrier between Elder and Centennial. Because the only purpose a gate serves is to allow access to and from, but as long as you have access above and you can get off Elder and go over and walk over to Centennial, I don't think anybody's going to have a problem or try to climb over the rocks. Excuse me, my phone went off. And then I want to know exactly how many complaints the Park District or the police department or anyone else who's associated with the village has received in 31 years of dog beach behavior. Because quite frankly, you know, there used to be the Winnetka Talk and they used to have the police incident reports, and I can't remember ever reading one about a dog problem on the beach. But since the Winnetka Talk is gone, I haven't been able to find any information that would quantify that. I think that's an important fact, right? People who are angry like myself who want to get our dogs down on the beach and who don't see a problem want to understand what the problem is. My assessment, and I apologize if I offend anyone, is I'm seeing a dysfunctional attempt to solve a problem that really doesn't exist. Rather, it's a manufactured attempt to create issues that have consumed public, taxpayer-funded time and resources, not for the public good, but to address the interests of a vocal minority. That is exactly what we're set up not to do, right? We're set up to use our resources. I've been associated with the Park District my entire time here. My kids all matriculated through Park District programs. The work that we've done on the fields, the work that we've done with the hockey rinks, the work that we've done with the other fields, everything that's been done is laudable. It's great. It's been a big benefit to the community. But this is a problem that doesn't need to be a problem. There wasn't a problem before, there won't be a problem after. And if we have to take some minimal steps to create a way to maintain Centennial Beach the way it's been for as long as I can remember, then I would be in favor of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, do we have anyone else? Can we make him not the last guy, or are we all good?
I apologize, I came late, I can do it from here.
No, because the video recording was
You can get over here.
I don't have a camera.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time. I'm Michael Holmberg. I live at 435 Linden. We moved from 322 a little while ago. I forget it sometimes. I grew up on the beach. I played on the beach. I rode my Stingray over the hills when they knocked the sanitarium down. I swam both beaches. I cleaned the beaches. I was part of the junior job corps. I worked for the Park District for about 4 summers in a row. It was fantastic. I found a pay receipt the other day. I was making, I think, $1.20 an hour. That was a good job. It was a great job. I loved it. And then I was the lifeguard chasing Jack Our parents are good friends. There's and I take my dog Murray to the beach all the time. And we've been gone for a year as we redo this house thing. I love the beach, and it's where I meet new people in Winnetka. And I think there's a community aspect to it. It's beautiful when your dog's there. I tend to go at evening. It's a great place to relax. And my dog, it's very good for him to relax, or he drives my wife crazy. So I take him down there, I swim myself, and then I meet people. And I think it's one of the things, I've been here forever, but not everybody has. And it's nice to meet people. It's a great place to meet people. I've made a bunch of friends down there. There's a huge dog community, which is wonderful. So, and as somebody said earlier, he said, she said, whatever it is, I don't know how we got into where we are now. The beach has been a wonderful beach forever. I hope it continues the way it is. I think the job of being on the park board is really hard. I think it's one of the best things to have done. And I keep thinking, like Brad McLean did a great job here. Warren James, I think they did a great job here. These guys are, and I grew up with these guys, they're great guys. I think, should I do it? No. I think it's really hard, but I appreciate the fact that you're doing it. It's, as Rob Adtoff said, when he went on the village council, he said, you go on that because you have too many friends. Guaranteed to knock a bunch of your friends out of the way. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and I hope we can get to a way that the dog beach remains a wonderful thing it's been in the past. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm John Edwardson, and I am the owner of 301 Sheridan, which is the north end of Elworth Park. I'm happy with whatever happens with the dog beach, but for people who say there have been no instances, you're just dead wrong. Just last summer, we had 2 dogs being chased by their owners down the beach. They got to our property and came up the staircase to our backyard where we were sitting. They were friendly dogs. They came over to me and I petted them until the owners got there. But, if you think that nothing ever happens with dogs going down the beach, you're wrong. The thing I would like to see happen is dog owners who use the beach keep their dogs on the leash until they get to the door of the dog beach. 2 nights ago, our dog was attacked by another dog who was off leash. It isn't worth it to call the police or anybody else, or call the police, but I have to tell you, I walk in Centennial every night. And I'll do 2 or 3 loops with my dog on a leash. And there is barely a day that we don't encounter a dog off leash in that park. So for all of those of you who want to use it, I hope you get to use it. I hope it stays where it is. But could you just keep your dogs on the leash till you get to the dog beach? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are we finished with public comment? We do want to hear from everyone that wants to speak. All right, I think that wraps it up for tonight in terms of public comment. I'd like to ask commissioners to keep comments to 3 minutes per item unless otherwise noted, with 1 opportunity to speak on each item. If there are matters that require additional follow-up from staff and cannot be addressed immediately, those items may be tabled by a majority vote to a future meeting. It's important that we respect the time of our community, staff, and fellow commissioners while ensuring our discussions stay focused on board-level decisions that best serve our community. At this time, I'd like to turn to section 5.2 of the, 3.1, of the agenda. And I would like to, Shannon, did you want to present a memo? Do you have a memo you'd like to present?
So there's not much change to this memo other than the fact that the village had their meeting last night, and So the difference in the documents that you have attached, the updated draft first amendment to the Tower Road lease, this was the last thing that we provided to the village. Oh, it's really loud. The last amendment that we provided to the village, which was on Friday, June 25th.
Okay.
That we provided to the village.
All right.
So hold on, so we have not received a reply from the village, legal counsel?
I believe that the reply was the meeting last night.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right. So the sort of point of, as I see it, sort of the offer that the village sort of made last night is one I'd like to discuss, which is to continue with the pilot program at Tower, but keep Centennial open for dogs, as is. We can get to the on-leash, off-leash at another time, and I do agree that through working together, there are options. We've heard some great things from the community in terms of ideas. There was one idea that someone shared with me 2 days ago that I hadn't thought of, and I thought it was a really good idea. So that is a conversation to be had. We hear, that this is something that the community feels very strongly about and so forth. But tonight, we have to look at what's in front of us, and what's in front of us is the pilot program that was proposed by the village. And again, I'll reiterate what I said. I think it's a great program. Because presently it's the only way to be off leash. It's great for the people that can work with the time frame. And so I don't want to not pursue it. However, I like the offer that was sort of made last night by the village, which is that we can keep Centennial open while they run the pilot program. And so I would like to open a discussion with commissioners on that idea.
I'm a big fan of more is better than less. More options are better than fewer. And I think both options are good. I would like to see if there are people that we can capture at Tower, while I think that the proposed fencing or stanchions are insufficient. I would ask the village to consider extending their competence to a fence permit also at Centennial. And I would be happy with options at both places because I think it expands our programming geographically, which I think is important.
Thank you. Commissioner Root?
This evening, under the next item on the agenda, I'm going to introduce a proposal which would encourage the ability to speak to Mr. Caladarchi, the experience for all residents to be able to use Centennial. And with our home rule focus of our village, to permit Centennial to become a dog-friendly area off-leash for dogs so that anyone can come. I guess I didn't hear what you heard, that the village was still considering this.
Well, I'm not saying that they did say.
Okay. All right.
It was just something that was discussed in the introduction and it was very appealing to me.
And as I said during our last meeting, the Dog Beach Advisory Committee came up with a plan for Tower that's very similar to this one, with the exception that there was a suggestion for fences. In looking at this amendment to the MOU, I see that since our last meeting, what has been added is the following language. The village agrees to revoke a person's privileges to use Tower Beach dog area whenever that person's dog is found off leash outside the boundaries of Tower 3 times. I believe that is new and was
That was from the
not
last meeting that was directed by the board.
the last meeting of you with
No,
that was
That's the Park
June
District meeting, the
25.
25th meeting.
Our last
meeting.
That was directed by the
I
board.
see that, and so I apologize for missing that. I'm a big fan of more is better. I agree with you, Commissioner Cotto. And I think trying an off-leash dog beach and tower is a great thing. However, it's very restrictive hours from 6 to 8:30. And we've heard repeatedly this evening that there are many people that can't go to the
Yeah,
dog
it's
beach.
clearly not a solution for everyone.
So, if there's a way also to consider how this might work after the swimming beach is closed, as I believe that's 8 o'clock, isn't it? When our lifeguards, and it's still light most of the summer after 8 o'clock. So perhaps there's an opportunity to extend this pilot into the evening. Again, I'm all for it. Let's see what we can do. And I've been a real advocate for working collaboratively with our village rather than putting obstacles in place on why we can't. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It begs the question to me, why didn't the village just say, put stanchions up at Centennial? Unless they consider those barriers from a home rule standpoint. There's not a lot of you folks that have been involved in this in the last 6 months. I had a meeting at Peace on February 20th, and I said, hey, just so you know, we've been told that the Dog Beach Group wants to move to Tower. Commissioner Root has also stated that in open meeting. I believe Trustee Apatow has also stated that. During the permitting process, it's no one wants this. No one wants these fences. No one wants dogs on Centennial. We haven't heard from any of you. The question is, where's everybody been? Well, you're here tonight. You weren't allowed to speak last night, but you were allowed to speak tonight. It also begs the question, why 6 to 8:30? If it's safe, make it all day long. So the village is recognizing that, number one, stanchions may not work on Park District property. And number two, safety is an issue. That's why it's 6 to 8:30. It's a very active beach. It goes back to the point, Centennial is the best place for a dog beach. It is. I know we have the dog advisory committee. I just want to say I am supportive of the village trying to do what they're doing. Give it a shot. It's your property. We'll adjust our lease. Give it a shot. I hope it works out well. But we learned in August of 2021 when we were going to take the Dog Beach off of Centennial that we're a very active, energized Dog Beach community. We said, oh shit. So we formed the Dog Beach Advisory Committee, and then ultimately we decided that Centennial was the best location. Now I gotta tell you, it's not because of the neighbor to the south. I think that's a terrible, terrible misrepresentation. It's disgusting. We did it because it's the best damn place to put a dog beach. I too want to find a solution. What is acceptable for a barrier? What is it? The permitting process that we go through the village does not lend itself to discussion. Commissioner Cotto, when she first became president in August of 2023, said, hey, let's just sit down, two boards, open session, a working group, let's just figure this thing out. Zero response. I'm not trying to point fingers.
Yeah, you are.
I still would love, that's why we brought up the IGA, Irene. That's why we brought up the IGA. I would love to sit down with representatives from the village in a good faith effort to find a solution. It ain't gonna be chain link fence. It's just not gonna be. What's it gonna be? What can we put up to satisfy barrier so that, well, dogs can run off leash? And last, I'll say, again, this agreement was delivered to us by the village. We did not construct this this agreement to close the dog beach at Centennial. It was delivered to us. They wanted to close Centennial for this trial period, not permanently, for dogs. So I want to work with the village and find a solution. I'm in support of their pilot program. Give it a shot. It's your property. Let's figure it out. Let's move forward. But we're not going to close the dog beach on leash at this point, dog beach at Centennial. And I'll say last comment, obviously the park ranger thing is not, I'm over 3 minutes? Yeah. Right now I don't care. I'll just say the park ranger thing is seems like it's bumpy. So we have to address that. And I'm sure Shannon will. Thank you.
Madam Chair, seeing that my name was raised in Commissioner Siemens' comments, and because it was inaccurate, may I correct the statement? Yes. Thank you. As far as moving dogs to Tower, what I have said is that when we were told with the new Elder Centennial Beach Plan that the dogs would have to move, that they would have to leave Centennial, Ms. Tomlinson and others, and I participated with former Commissioner Archibald in a dog beach advisory committee. Based on the representation that dogs could no longer stay on Centennial, our best solution was to relocate to the village segment of beach nearest the pier at Tower Beach. And it was on that premise that I said that we supported, and I handed out the plan during our last board meeting last Thursday, the actual rendering of what that plan was. So thank you for letting me correct myself.
Can I respond to that? Okay. Sorry. That's not what I was referring to. I apologize. Yes, the Dog Beach Committee did propose to move the dog beach to Tower in approximately the same location that the village has designed it. Obviously much more substantial, as you said, fence and touch. However, I believe in October of 24, we passed a resolution that said we're having a dog beach in Centennial. Because we viewed as a board that was a superior location for a dog beach. And I still do believe it is. So that's what I was referring to, and as well as, again, we had been told by members of the village that the dog beach group wanted to move the tower. It's been in public comment, but I want to work with the village to get this done.
Right, we need to. All right, actually, can I just ask for Commissioner Rapp to?
First, thank you for everyone for coming out. It's great to see a full room of people engaged on this topic. It's always a benefit to hear directly. I am glad that the village put out a proposal because it has, engaged the community more. I think the proposal was certainly made in good faith. I think a lot of the restrictions in terms of the time were in response to requests from Park District staff in terms of camps being run at Tower. I agree that 6 to 8:30 seems untenable to get out there for many members of the community, but I do believe the proposal was made in good faith to try to float the idea of, can we have times and ways to share spaces between people and dogs and give more access. So I think that was certainly a positive at trying to work, particularly since our proposal was not favorably received. I would say that I think that perhaps revisiting Tower maybe after summer camp ends, or maybe when the playgrounds are under renovation, or some other options could be more feasible. We don't have the constraint of designing on the fly during the prime season, as one of our commenters mentioned. That I think we should remain open and flexible to that. I do think that as we consider Centennial, I had viewed the village's proposal not so much as saying unleash dogs out, but more as an invitation to the larger community to come into Centennial as well. So I didn't I think it's fine to leave dogs on leash in Centennial and invite larger parts of the community. And I think as a park district, we have also invited other members of the community in this year with the non-dog key fob, which is available to purchase, which I think is a positive thing because it's a beautiful beach. And there are many wonderful dog owners there. There are also many wonderful people in the village without dogs, so I think that's a positive. But I had suggested in prior meetings as we were hitting resistance to our fencing proposal, which was a more permanent, fencing that's up all the time, is, the possibility of, is there something we can do that's truly temporary? The type of fencing that comes out at the Winnetka Music Festival for the weekend, retractable fencing, snow fencing that gets rolled up at night. And I would just encourage us to be flexible as we consider those things.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have a proposal for a budget adjustment. Could that enable us to have staff that could find a way to share this space in a way that could enable dog beach pass holders to be able to have their dogs off leash without being criminalized or hassled by well-meaning park rangers? Because I think that's really important. I mean, we're deluding ourselves to think that people leave their dogs on leash when they go to Centennial. I mean, it defies the whole value proposition. The whole point of going is that your dog can run and chase a tennis ball in the lake. And that cannot happen safely on a leash. It's just an incompatible thing, and I think we really need to find a way to be able to make that happen in a way that is comfortable and safe for both our dog beach users in the off-leash sense and also our public at large.
Because you're creative.
No pressure, no pressure.
I've said this to other commissions, you've thrown a lot of stuff out, right, in meetings about what can we do, can we do this? What's the method that you would suggest? Because we can't obviously unilaterally show up with 15 different ideas through the normal permitting process. That's impractical. So what's the method that we can sit down with members of the village and have this exchange? How do we do that?
I will tell you how I felt as a commissioner. I felt curtailed. I felt afraid to engage people in the other elected bodies through our liaison process. People have been disciplined for going and talking to people out of order. So I think that structurally, having a relaxation on the ability of individual commissioners to engage with their counterparts on an informal basis is very important to accomplish that. Having commissioners disciplined for speaking is a problem.
How does that feedback come back to the board? How does that, because informal conversations, we got 7 different board members with 7 different perspectives, which is great. But ultimately, we have to arrive on a unified solution. That's why we come together and we vote. So we can have all sorts of informal conversations. I haven't spoken to a village trustee in, since my previous term. So, because I'm respecting liaisons and so on.
Yeah, no, I know.
And they probably don't want to talk to me. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that we have a unified process? I think it's an IGA. I think it's this meeting that Christina.
Study session.
A study session with the village. Let's just hash this out.
I'm all in for a joint
study session would be excellent.
If I could.
Actually, I think Commissioner Toto had her hand up, and
I'm sorry, David pointed it out.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I jumped over her because I wanted to, we had Commissioner Rapkin spoken yet, so we could switch to Christina and then I'll go to you.
And still have Commissioner Tyson and Commissioner Court.
I do.
I do. Very vigorously writing over there. We did suggest a study session, and I think it would be productive, and I think it's better than an IGA because there's a lot of mistrust in the process, in the closed process. So a joint public study session, I think, would be very helpful. It would be very transparent. It would allow us to work on the areas of commonality and produce a result. The challenge with having individuals talk to individuals on the trustees is number one, the feedback loop, number two, representing the majority position of the Park District Board, and number three, trying to angle for a different solution. So you're 1/7, I'm 1/7 of the decision-making authority. When we decide, that's the decision. And I support that, whether I agree or I don't. I didn't agree that we should pull the permits, but we pulled them. So we support that. That was the majority position. So a joint study session is to me a transparent solution, which I think this community would welcome, and I think it would be helpful. It's cumbersome, it's time consuming, but I think we can set an agenda and maybe move forward.
We heard tonight that our community wants to be involved in this, and I see another option, and that is forming a joint advisory board composed of members of our community with both the village and the Park District, if that is possible lawfully. And again, yes, I support a joint study session. I was disappointed last night, quite frankly, that the Park District wasn't working with the village in that meeting so that we could collaborate. No, you misunderstand what I'm saying. In other words, I think it would have been great if we had had commissioners of the Park District and village trustees all at one meeting. Side by side. And again, I want to share Commissioner Rapp's concern about actually talking to other elected officials. I have both been censured as well as had a harassment complaint against me because I have dared to speak with people. And so that is a chilling effect. And we need to try to correct that.
Yeah, point of order, that's jumping from where we are. Okay, Commissioner Tyson.
A number of ideas already put forward. I don't want to be repetitive and mention these. I think a lot of good ideas have already been suggested. I just want to refer back again to the meeting last night. You know, I think it was great. The public came forward, made their feelings known, even though they made it happen. They forced it to happen. And as a result, change was made. Village came to us, made this proposal for tower. That's part A. Part B is they requested that we close Centennial Park Beach at the same time. I'm glad to hear that they're backing off that. So my comments right now have nothing to do with Centennial Beach, because as far as I'm concerned, that's off the table, changing that. My comments are related to the proposal at Tower. Last week we had a discussion about it. I think it was a good discussion. I don't recall anyone saying that they were against the proposal or against the pilot program. I think there were some good concerns raised around safety. I think some of them were raised by me. That's why I'm saying they were good concerns. But they weren't things that couldn't be addressed via conversation. So I think it's unfair for someone to say that the Park District is totally against their program. That is not true. We just had some meaningful discussion. We wanted to learn more about it last night, and then we wanted to talk about it tonight. That was the purpose of this meeting. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. So to start with, a little over a year ago, I was not a board member, and I was a regular Winnetka citizen. And all of this, I've learned a lot since then, and it's been very confusing to navigate. And a lot of the time, I think both boards, the village and this board, assume that everybody knows what's going on. I personally don't think that citizens should have to come in front of boards and beg for things that are, expected, like a dog beach. So.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
I'll speak up.
Speak up.
Okay. For any of these things, you just want to be a citizen of the village, and good things happen, and you go enjoy them, but then on the other hand, boards do make binding decisions, and it's hard for people to pay attention and know when to show up to beg for the thing they want. So it's, my main point there is, I agree that it'd be nice if we could just get something done. The progress of these board meetings, you know, this is a process of one meeting a month, and then the village has a meeting, and we have a meeting. There's no discussion, you know, there's so many different parts of this balloon to squeeze that it would take many hours of rational discussion to to come to a solution on these things. And the way both these boards operate is, you know, the village says something and that, you know, we feel is mischaracterized, and we say something that somebody thinks is not founded in you know, the law, and back and forth, and there has been movement towards this idea of some sort of collaboration between the village and us, and that's really the only way that anything's gonna move forward. My experience so far on this board has been that the Park District works very hard to come up with rational plans, and the village raises you know, concerns or things they'd like to have changed. We change those things, and then we go back and you know, sometimes the requirements like flip 180 degrees from meeting to meeting. I don't think that's you know, I don't think that's the village trying to be. I think it's just the nature of this project. You know, like you forget what you did a month ago at the meeting, and then someone raises a new concern, and that's the problem. So the collaboration needs to be more continuous than that. Another thing that a lot of people, this has been mentioned before, but it's really important that for all these projects, to understand that we can't unilaterally, as a park district, do really anything in this village, unfortunately. If we could, we'd have an off-leash dog beach at Centennial right now, and we might even build one at Tower also. But we can't do those things because the village, we were covered by a layer of zoning laws that the village maintains, which, you know, zoning's important. You need to have everything in its right place. Everything that we want to do requires a variation to our zoning, because the baseline zoning basically says that we can't do anything new.
Commissioner Corley, we're running on time.
Okay, that's basically my last point, is that I guess it all goes back to, one more thing. The Lakota plan was mentioned multiple times last night, and that the village paid for it, or that we paid for it. It's a great plan. I don't think anyone's seen it. It has a chain link fence going out into the water, connecting to a breakwater. I feel like for the dog safety and people safety, we need fencing to enclose the dogs. That's all.
All right. So I have a couple comments. I would love to see a joint session between the village and the park district. I think that, you know, whether or not it's truly an IGA or some sort of memorandum of understanding, that's probably something we have to also devise. But again, I've said it, I think, you know, we need to work together here, and I truly believe that, you know, the village's efforts with this pilot program was an attempt to do it. It maybe was a miss, but, you know, I love the public comment because it's very hard to make decisions in vacuums that affect people. So the public comment is great. It's nice to see new faces here that have different views. And certainly, you know, over the last couple of days, I've heard from a lot of people outside of meetings reaching out to me, calling me, you know, if they get my phone number from someone. But anyhow, I would like to, if every commissioner is finished with comment, I'd like to move on and try and figure out what we're gonna do here, but the first part of it that I think we have to do is discuss the lease amendment. I think that there's a couple sort of open issues in the lease amendment that we have to, as a board, satisfy in order to, go back to the village. I don't know that the village is willing to move here, but I'd like to adopt a lease amendment. I'd like to, have a conditional acceptance of it, as long as Centennial remains open, and see what the village wants to do with that. But as commissioners, we have to talk about some open items. And the open items that we have to talk about are the termination provision in the lease amendment, as well as under section 4, the no interference with Tower Road Park, subsection B. So I'd like people to now be a little more focused in their comments and let us know what they're thinking. This is the boring part. Anyone want to start?
Are we talking about section 7?
Yes, section 7, determination provision. What we have in front of us is what we've proposed, not what the village has. And also, if you look in section 4 of the lease amendment in front of us, there's in B is an added provision. And
Just to refresh your recollection, the park board got a letter from the village suggesting that the lease amendment only be terminated by mutual agreement.
Correct.
An earlier draft gave either party unilateral right to terminate the amendment. And so the amendment shown to section 7B was the park board's revision to agree to mutual termination, but to also express some emphasis on safety.
Right.
So that was the change that was reflected in 7B. And then during the meeting last Thursday, there was obviously a lot of concern over whether the stanchions would be effective.
Right.
And so section 4B was an effort to reflect the board's consensus on, again, safety and making sure that there wasn't interaction between kids on the playground nearby and the dogs in the off-leash dog beach. So that's the update since last Thursday.
Right. And I also believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that when the village put out its agenda, the lease amendment did not have those changes, which to me feels like the village is rejecting those requested changes. And so we have to decide as a board, do we want to stick with those changes, or are we going to accept what the village is effectively proposing by not having our requested changes in the draft that was attached to their agenda? I will say in the village's executive summary, or whatever they call it, it did describe what we'd asked for, but what they were putting in front of their commissioners to adopt, had the meeting proceeded, would have been only terminable if both parties agreed. Is that right?
Yeah, their version of 7B was just only termination by mutual agreement, and I think it would have delegated that decision to the village manager and the executive director.
So it's kind of negotiation, a weird negotiation, but anyhow.
I like the changes made at 7B. I would be in favor of including those in what we're suggesting back to the village.
Okay.
I think, not to rehash the conversation from last week, but we talked about what's a stanchion, what does it do?
Mhm.
Does it stop a dog from going anywhere? And the answer was, to our understanding, no. It's just a line of demarcation. It doesn't block a dog. So I think this is a great suggestion made last week to say, okay, well, if we agree to that, we want to know how many incidents happened, because the proposal was that there would be individuals standing there to stop the dogs from doing this. In my opinion, you need to have a person every 3 feet, maybe you could stop the dog from going. But This at least allowed us to escalate and say, hey, if this is not working, we'd like us to consider another such. So I'm in favor of what's put forth in 7B. I would recommend that we include that in what we suggest back to the village.
Okay, and what about 4B?
We do one at a time.
I'm sorry.
We do one at a time.
Okay, yes, let's do one at a time then, that makes sense. Yep.
I wasn't at the last board meeting, but I did watch the video. The audio was high quality. I'm not in favor of these edits. It makes us appear as obstructionists to what the village is trying to do. I don't mind the material health and safety. I just think defining it 3 times, listen, this agency is pro-dog. Those edits make this agency, this board, seem anti-off-leash dog. I think it's going to be a challenge with stanchions. Guess what? It's the village's off-leash dog park. I do not want to get in the way of them trying to come up with some step forward, albeit for a short period of time, as it was described last night by Commissioner Aptow, legal off-leash dog park. So I am not for this definition of material health and safety amendment. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other commissioners who wish to speak? Oh, Commissioner Rich?
I'm in agreement with Commissioner Seaman. First of all, under section 3B, the park district is fully indemnified by the village if there aren't any issues. If we are keeping the period of time from 6 a.m. until 8:30 a.m., then our park camps do not begin until 9 o'clock. And again, this is the village's pilot where they are responsible. It is not our duty to tell the village how to be responsible. And then finally, as I suggested earlier, if we're gonna do a pilot, I'd like to get back to them and say, our lifeguards, I believe they leave at 8 p.m. Am I correct, Executive Director? Is that when in the evening?
That's the closing time of the beach, yes.
Well, then, if it is still light out and the village wishes to extend their pilot program, I'd like to see an evening hour because it is still light.
Yeah, it's a cost question, I think, for them.
Well, again,
It's up to them.
the village.
Right, it's up to them. I agree.
But we are hearing from our community that a 2.5-hour pilot is not going to be used and that people would like to see a little more time.
Okay.
Well,
So
not at 8
again-
p.m. when we're all in bed. I mean, that's insane.
Tina, you may be in bed, but I can assure you that we have people who are not. So anyway, I don't like these amendments at all.
Okay.
And again, I think the first question is, village, are you even still considering this pilot? Because I took away last night that they were done with it. So I think we.
Well, I think it was based on the erroneous assumption that we had rejected the plan, the pilot, which we had not. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Cotto.
I am in agreement with Commissioner Tyson. I think we have expertise in running a dog beach. We've run one with some excellent staff work, knowledge, experience for the last 20-some years. And I think that these 2 amendments reflect useful advice, help, expertise that we can share with the village. I don't want to see it fail.
Okay.
And we have expertise and I think we should offer it.
Hold on. Do we have that language in our Omni dog park? So we are asking the village for stronger, tighter language than we currently have.
Well, no, but our unleashed dog park, you have to have your dog on leash. So I don't understand your
It's not
point.
pertinent.
Well, I understand that, but we know from Mr. Edwardson.
All right. Commissioner Rapp?
I don't feel strongly that the village needs to adopt our language. I felt like they had made changes in their document, the meeting packet, that kind of covered, at least to me, some of our, concerns in terms of the mutual termination for health and safety reasons. I think we've laid out what some of our concerns are for them. That's helpful guidance. We've delivered it, but ultimately, it's going to be a discussion. So those are my thoughts on the termination. Do you want the comments on the other section?
No, we'll go to that.
We'll go back.
Still
Okay.
have to hear from.
So I don't want the legalese to be a barrier to us. I mean, it's a pilot. And it might already be a barrier, because when I listened to the meetings, that unless they felt like we were really gung-ho in a positive way, the community was gung-ho in a positive way. I mean, it represents a lot of effort when I was looking at the staffing and the
sure.
And, if people aren't excited about it, like these people out here, it says something.
Right, they may change their opinion based on public comment, but I don't want them to change their opinion based on the erroneous assumption that we rejected it, because we never voted on it. And one thing with our board is we do disagree, sometimes with each other and with what's in front of us, but it doesn't mean that that's the action we took, and we did not take action. I want to be very clear on that.
Yeah. Right, so like whether the village moves ahead or not, that's their decision, it's their pilot. Us telling them what to do with their property, I agree with that they can do what they want on their property, and I think we should vote to allow them to do that. But there is also, this language talks about the dogs coming from their property onto Park District property, and we don't have control over that. There's not a fence, there's no barrier for to keep the dogs in that area, and I think that's, I don't know if that's part of the pilot plan or not to operate a beach without a fence indefinitely, but I think it's important that we, just like any other neighbor, have some input on whether the dogs are on our property. And a concern is the playground. We have data that shows that from starting at 6 a.m., that playground is in use by kids and moms and things. So I think it should be important to us that dogs don't go over there.
Then why can't it follow?
Good question, that's the village, that's their pilot.
All right.
Sorry, is that in favor of the language that's new or not?
I would say that the new language is more restrictive. I defer to the legal counsel whether or not it accomplishes the goal of being, of protecting us and giving us options to act if if it does turn into dogs running everywhere. So I think that means I'm in favor of it.
In favor of
The language.
the villages or this language that was in our?
The new language that protects us.
Can you please read, I can't pull it up on my phone, can you please read the language for termination that was attached for the agenda? No, not this, for the agenda.
The village's language?
The village's language.
I don't have that in front of me.
The village effect.
Would you, because that's not pulling up on my phone for some reason, I keep on getting some weird accessibility.
Okay, so for termination in the documents that are included in the village packet.
For last night's
For
meeting.
last night's meeting, termination is the First Amendment may be terminated by mutual agreement of the Winnetka Park District's executive director and the Winnetka Village manager for material health and safety reasons, and thereby restore the lease agreement as it existed prior to this First Amendment.
That's what was attached last night.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
So it didn't have the further detail
Yes.
of what
Right.
constituted.
Okay. We may have a few different motions that come forward here, but let's give a go on one and we'll see. May I have a motion to authorize the executive director and legal counsel to negotiate and execute the necessary documents, including the lease amendment as attached to our agenda, and implementation plan to facilitate the temporary Tower Road Dog Beach pilot program. Provided, however, this is a conditional motion, that the village ordinance is amended to remove the provision regarding the closure of Centennial Beach to dogs and the opening of Centennial Beach as a passive use. It has to be conditional on that.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yep.
What are we doing here?
So I'm trying to figure out what the commissioners want to do. Do we want to take the village's language? Do we want to take our language? The first motion I'm asking for is with our language.
With the condition that Centennial stays open as a dog beach.
Right.
It's delinking the condition that Centennial be closed when they open your pilot.
It's also removing our specific language. Well, no, in this case, it's with the specific language that certain violations will have certain results.
So our language and Centennial remains open as an on-leash.
Right.
Okay, I'm a no.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, we need
we have
discussion finish.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just telling you. I can learn. I can learn.
Okay, all right, let's have, okay, so I think we've sort of already had discussion on this.
discussion
Okay,
on this.
so let's go to a vote. Saba?
This is specific to section 7. We have not yet addressed section 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Just that section, or is it the whole?
Should we go, you want to go to section 4 too? Oh my God, we have a million different motions.
There's
your motion.
Right,
There's a
right,
handful
yeah.
of stuff. I think the important one is the disconnecting of the closure of
Right,
Centennial.
right, okay.
We don't want to accidentally vote against it.
Right, we don't. Okay, so let's actually,
I'm voting against the amendment in section 7.
Okay, I agree with, I apologize, this is a little scattered. I agree with Edie Nazal. Let's talk about section 4B, and then we can talk about what we're gonna move on. So, anyone want to open discussion on?
4B is the 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah, right,
For an individual.
right, correct.
From the village, yes.
Mhm.
I'll go. Can I go?
Yep.
It reads, the village agrees to revoke a person's privileges to use Tower Road Beach dog area whenever that person's dog is found off-leash outside the boundaries of Tower Road Beach dog area 3 times. The village agrees to report back to the Park District on a weekly basis any and all incidents of individuals permitting their dog to be off-leash outside the Tower Road Beach dog area. I would say, again, I think similar to the amendment, again, we're not at the meeting, listen to our meeting. We're telling the village how to run their business, which I just can't stand. And it is not at all, this edit is not at all in the spirit of cooperation, which we're trying to do. So I think it's effectively anti-off-leash dog, so I would be against our amendment on section 4B.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Commissioner Coda?
Go ahead.
I agree with Commissioner Seaman. As I said, the village is, in this document, indemnifying Park District. It is not up to the Park District to tell the village how to run its business. That's not our job. We have enough to do trying to run our own business. And again, to me, when we become so rule-oriented here, I think myself that this is a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. If we're limiting hours to 6 in the morning until 8:30 a.m. So for them, I'm not in favor.
Okay. Commissioner Coda?
I think setting clear expectations for behavior, performance, and consequences ensures the best results. I am appreciative of the indemnification. However, I do not want an incident. Consequently, I think a clear articulation of transgressions, consequences,
help everyone understand what the expectation is, and that will allow for a smoother running process. Anyway.
I am less in favor of 4B than I am of 7B, because I think 7B actually the roll-up covers us under 4B. I think the main difference is we're specifying, I agree, in B, how they would run things. I disagree with the comment that we're telling them how to do it in 7B, because we're letting them start the pilot as exactly as they've designed it. We're only saying if things go awry, this is how we would like the escalation procedure to happen, and then to address potentially putting a different solution in place.
Yeah, so for 4B, it's, you know, it's a rule that I think it points out the reality that some dogs, you know, some dogs are not going to run outside that boundary. Some dogs will, and you know, unfortunately, it's kind of the rule comes down on the dog, but that's how it is. With no offense, like some dogs are not going to be able to obey this, and if they're doing that on a regular basis, then you should have a way to, in this iteration of a pilot dog park, we should have a way to say that, you know, your dog can't do this stanchion thing. Your dog doesn't understand the stanchions. You didn't explain it to your dog well enough, and so your dog can't beat her. You know, that's the reality of not having a fence. Some dogs are gonna not be able to obey.
Commissioner Rapp.
I just wanted to read section 4 that's in the agreement that was proposed in the village packet. No interference with Tower Road Park. The Park District and the village agree that the implementation plan to be administratively agreed by the parties. So to me, that says staff is going to work on an administration plan, which can cover some of these things. And enforced by the village shall not permit any dogs in Tower Road Park, except when on leash in the parking lot or any part of village property where a playground is located. All dogs at the Tower Road Beach dog area must use the village-owned property for ingress and egress to the Tower Road Beach dog area. The Park District and the village are committed to the success of the Tower Road Beach dog area, and both will use their good faith and best efforts to work cooperatively to accomplish that success. I'm pretty confident that the village does not want an incident as much as we do not want an incident. I mean, they are not going to want to have children, you know, attacked by dogs. They are not going to want to have other patrons attacked by dogs. They are not going to want to have people hit by cars on the road. I think that we can agree that our interests are aligned on those major safety points. So I'm comfortable with the language as it was proposed in the village. And I feel like things will be worked out administratively with the provision in the document.
Okay. So that change is subsequent to what we were talking about here, so I'm just trying to flesh out
it's
all
hard
the
for me.
views. So that is very interesting, they did amend it.
Yeah, no, it's hard because I have not gone, you know, I mean, I guess I could pull up the printed ones from last week, but I do believe it's different.
It's different.
I do believe it's different.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Did you have something?
I was gonna, when Centennial Dog Beach was off leash, we never had these rules. It was off leash. Now we're asking the village on the pilot program to institute rules that we never had for ourselves. That is terrible. That's terrible. I understand the safety concerns, but the indemnification, no wonder people don't like us. I mean, this is, we've never had this for our own off-leash dog park when it was off-leash. They said, go. So, thank you.
All right. Are we done for B? If we have? All right. So I'm going to try with all these iterations and everything, and we may go through a few motions here. I'm going to start out saying, may I have a motion to authorize the executive director and legal counsel to negotiate and execute the necessary documents, including the lease amendment including the lease amendment submitted to the village following our June 25, 2026 meeting, and the implementation plan, and to facilitate the temporary Tower Road Dog Beach pilot program, provided, however, that the village's ordinance requiring the closure of Centennial Dog Beach to dogs has been removed.
So moved. No, I thought we were just making a motion.
No, to adopt the language that you just.
He's allowed to say yes, he's allowed to make the motion.
Okay, you make the motion.
Listen.
Whatever.
I can't make motions. I would like a motion. The most important thing to do tonight is to take out from the village
Okay, but
ordinance.
we're gonna get there.
So
That's why I said we're gonna have many iterations.
Second.
I didn't so move it. I
Okay.
withdraw myself.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Okay. Can we have a vote? Saba, please.
Commissioner Cotto.
What?
I'm not clear on what we're voting on.
We're voting on the.
Approval of our amendments.
The approval of the amendments that were devised following our meeting of last
The ones
Wednesday.
in our packet.
Yes.
Not the ones in the village packet.
Right.
And the delinking of Centennial.
The delinking of Centennial.
Can we separate those motions?
Okay, then we can,
Delinking.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think there's consensus on the delinking.
Yes,
Of
okay.
Centennial, closure of Centennial.
Right,
Or,
correct.
I don't want to say closure of Centennial, I want to say opening Centennial for passive use, but closing it for dogs.
Okay, and we make a motion to, I'm trying to think of how to say this with the village, because it's really the village ordinance.
Well, there's the adopting the first change, adopting
We'll
the
do
second
that,
change.
we'll do that, but what they're saying is linking the ordinance from the.
And the delinking.
Right.
So
Let's do
can we
that.
just do three motions?
Okay,
Adam.
Let's do that. Let's do a vote on 4B.
okay,
And a vote on 7B.
Okay.
And then a vote on D.
okay, all right. All right, may I have a motion to authorize the executive director and legal counsel to,
Let's just make a motion to direct the executive director and legal counsel to negotiate 4B
right,
as the park board has presented.
right, as the park board has presented in its agenda today.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, can we have a vote?
Commissioner Cotto?
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp?
No.
Commissioner Roots?
No.
Commissioner Seaman?
No.
Commissioner Tyson?
No.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
President Gibson?
No.
The motion does not pass.
Okay. So that means 4B will no longer be in the version that we no longer have 4B in the version of these.
Keep going.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the the language in section 7B that was in the Park District's agenda for today?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Roots?
No.
Commissioner Rapp?
No.
Commissioner Cotto?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
No.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
President Gibson?
No.
Motion does not pass.
Okay. So do we need to say anything to say that?
So now, the next motion is motion to approve the First Amendment as presented by the village
Okay,
with the decoupling of the requirement that
Yeah.
Centennial Beach close to dogs.
okay. May I have a motion to adopt?
What Adam said.
Pardon?
What Adam said.
What Adam said? Did you get that?
So the village referred to it as resolution number R54 2026 as presented at the June 30th, 2026 meeting.
That's the ordinance. Right.
Was there a resolution?
Right, right.
the resolution, a resolution approving a First Amendment to the memorandum of agreement between the village and the Winnetka Park District. Right, amending the February 16th, 1942 piece of agreement.
They can do it they can do it as a resolution. We can do it as an agreement. It's the same thing, effectively, isn't it? Yeah, so don't worry about that.
I just want to make sure it's clearly identified what the document is that we're endorsing.
It's the same document. They do resolutions. All right, so, it's what Adam said.
And the motion is to approve the version in the village council's agenda yesterday, subject to village ordinance removing the requirement that the Centennial Dog Beach with leash be closed.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and that's a roll call vote?
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Proto?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Rapp?
Yes.
President Gibson?
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right. Now, we are moving on to our ordinance, 2026-003, conduct ordinance update. Shannon, do you want to talk about this?
Can we just go back to agenda item 3.1?
Sure.
I would like to propose that we postpone discussion of the budget adjustment until after the discussion of 3.2.
If the dog beach doesn't close.
Yeah, we don't
need it. We don't.
The budget adjustment, it was for a beach attendant, and we've just said that we're gonna have it open, the beach will be open for dogs.
Under the Centennial specifically.
Right.
We're no longer changing Centennial Pass.
We're not, yeah,
But we don't need that.
correct.
Right.
I would reserve the right to go back to it after we have our discussion on 3.2.
Okay. All right.
Kristen, I wonder if we might take a short break. We have been going since 4:30.
Okay, oh, the clock is working.
Would that be all right?
Yep.
Then
Yes,
about
yes.
5 minutes, just
Yep.
5 minutes? You
Yep.
okay? Thank you.
Do you have to motion to go in recess?
We have a motion to go into recess for 5 minutes.
So moved.
Second. Is that a roll, is that a voice
Is
vote?
it voice vote? Let's do a voice vote.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We're now in recess, 6:47.
meeting at 6:49. And we are now moving on to, we've resumed the meeting. All right, thank you. We're moving on to ordinance 2026-003, conduct ordinance update, section 2.03. Shannon?
So this item is the same as what was brought before the board on the 25th. There has not been any changes to the document that's attached to the agenda. The board did, at their June 25th meeting, decide to postpone this item for discussion tonight.
Okay. I would like to open discussion on this item. Is there anyone that would like to? Okay.
Why is this on the agenda? What is the?
It would need to be, well, the one item in regards to adding the wording of, I think it's dog-friendly dog area, is in order to allow the dogs to be basically in the parking lot of Tower, because there is a dog-friendly area down, potentially, if the village goes through with the amendment to have their program.
So we would view this as an administrative change because the village, they have an off-leash dog park at Tower. We need to make sure that we designate those areas affected by it as dog friendly.
Correct.
Got it.
And then the other addition or change is the conversation surrounding egress and ingress to the dog-friendly areas. So whether that is Centennial or whether that is Tower Road, that the access point to come in and out of that dog area is the main entry point
Of Tower.
of Tower or of Centennial.
Okay.
Yes.
Just a point of clarification, the proposed ordinance in this packet does not reference Tower.
No, it refers more generally to other dog-friendly areas designated by signs.
Okay.
It provides for a little bit greater flexibility.
I'm sorry, I go back to the 2022 amendments to the Illinois Animal Control Act that defined, quote, dog-friendly area as being an area where dogs can run off leash. As I recall, there are two conditions. One is where you have a hunter and he is there with his dog on an area that otherwise would require leashing, and the animal is under the supervision and control of the owner. The second would be in a park that is designated as dog-friendly. To my knowledge, we did not use nomenclature of dog-friendly areas, so that this is a new addition. And I sent out to each of the commissioners this evening, this afternoon, a proposal that would further amend this, where we would recognize the right of dogs to run at large on Centennial, absent offense, based on the concept that the Village of Winnetka is a home rule municipality, and with the proposal that they have made for this new Tower pilot that we now have appeared to embrace, that they have recognized the right of dogs to run off leash in certain areas of the village. As a result, I have here a proposal where I would further amend this particular ordinance, and so I guess I'm gonna hand this out to folks.
Commissioner Root?
Yes?
The village ordinance that was on the agenda last night only exercises their home rule authority in relation to Tower Road. So the only thing that they're currently considering, if you want to call it that, is to use their home rule power as it relates to Tower. And so I think allowing changing our ordinance to allow off-leash dogs at Centennial might one day be relevant to the board, but it's not relevant yet because the village hasn't chosen to even consider exercising their home rule authority as it relates to Centennial yet.
How do we know that?
Because it wasn't on the agenda last night. It wasn't on the agenda last night. So I'm not suggesting this isn't ever going to be relevant, I'm just suggesting it's premature.
Well, to me, this conceptually, what we have heard is the village is exercising its jurisdiction with respect to Tower. And what I'm suggesting is that we consider a way that we can get dogs off leash again on Centennial. I'm trying to come up with some creative ideas.
No, I understand what you're trying to do.
And I also do not like the nomenclature dog friendly because it goes back to the 2022 amendments.
It's not, they're not related to each other. The Park District has plenary authority to set rules and regulations for property at homes and control.
I understand that.
And so the word designated dog-friendly areas in this context doesn't contain any cross-reference to the state animal control law. It's just the words used to designate areas within the park system that are designated by signs as where dogs are allowed to go.
I guess what I would like to see is that rather than saying dog friendly, that we are very clear as to what is on leash versus off leash. And so I would like, if the concern is Tower, then perhaps we need to be very clear about what we're seeking to do. Because it seems to me that as I looked at this, we in March of 2023 threw together an ordinance amendment. By the way, it was not in the packet at the time. And there was no real opportunity for commissioners to review it before it was presented. It was more or less pushed through very quickly. But it rather said that you had your on-leash areas being Arbor Vitae, the Woods, Centennial, all sand and bluff areas of Centennial Beach. And that was the real focus here, was to get leashes on Centennial Beach. Brown Woods, Franklin Dunbar, Hill Road, Merrill Park, Burke Memorial Park, Sheridan Park, Skokie Playfield, Station Park, West Elm Park, but there is nothing about Tower here. So if our concern is Tower, I think we need to be a little more specific. And again, my thought is how we are creative to permit dogs to run off-leash on Centennial and to be, and the Tower pilot program, but to be on leash in all other respects, particularly on tableland. We heard from Mr. Emerson tonight, the problem was Centennial. And so I have thrown out my effort to address that and to put restrictions in for non-compliant owners. And so I've thrown it on the table for consideration. I am not in favor, because I don't quite understand what you're trying to do with this ordinance as you have proposed it.
It strikes me that, well, thank you, but it strikes me that that wasn't in the packet either. If in fact, something wasn't in the packet in 2023. Listen, this was emailed to us, this is along with Mr. Corley, that getting things in short order before the board meeting is very difficult to digest, especially a legal document for us. So I would prefer if we would focus on what is in our packet. We obviously can have later discussions on your amendment, but I think we should focus on what's in our packet. Is that fair?
I also want to say that I think that the ordinance that the village has adopted in order to exercise its home rule authority is very limited. It specifically talks about the 2026 Tower Road Beach. So I don't think that there's any ability to extrapolate from that to Centennial. Is that a solution at a later date? It could be, but it's not a solution today. it may not even be a solution because we don't know that the village is even going to adopt this home rule authority with respect to Tower. It's not sure how, I couldn't say how they're going to go, but the draft that we have is very specifically limited.
President Nixon asked a question.
Sure.
Okay, so if I understand, if we adopt this today and you have a dog owner who is using the fob to access Centennial Beach, then per this language, that dog owner must exit Centennial Beach using the stairs and through the gate.
Yes.
Then if I view dogs as personal property, and you know, and if that dog owner decides to leash that dog, and that dog owner decides that they want to take that dog along the high water mark, in accordance with the public trust doctrine, they would be in violation of this ordinance, and they could have their fob and access of that dog to Centennial Beach revoked. Is that correct?
I'm less concerned personally with someone, I don't want a dog walking along Elder when there are swimmers and little children playing in the sand. Even if it's leashed. Whether or not that's a right under the public trust doctrine, I'm not personally willing to opine on that. But what I think is not acceptable is that someone thinks that they park their car up at Elder and they want to walk up the stairs at Elder or walk up the little road at Elder. That's not okay. We cannot have dogs in the playground.
Right.
Oh, and I have no problem with that. I agree with you. Dogs should be on leash, but for areas where we expressly say that they may be off leash. And so if the focus here is Tower and the pilot program, then let's be clear about that. Let's revise this ordinance to say that. If you're trying to say though, that someone coming down who is authorized with a dog beach pass to go through the gate to walk onto Centennial Beach, they leash that dog and they are on the high water mark. They have every right.
I'm not talking about the high water mark. I'm talking about even a leashed dog going through the playground at Elder is not acceptable. So it's a no dog park.
I agree that a leashed dog cannot be going through the playground, but if a leashed dog has its paws wet and it is walking along the high water mark with its owner.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
This ordinance does not address the public trust doctrine. It simply says, as a condition of having the privilege of receiving a fob from the Park District to use Centennial Beach Dog Park, one of the conditions of use is that you must enter and exit through the point of entry. That's the rule, as a condition of having the privilege of having a fob.
You would thereby restricting then the right of that owner to take that dog on a leash and
They can
walk.
access the other parts of the beach by entering it from another direction or from another point of entry. But as a condition of using the Winnetka Park District on-leash dog beach at Centennial, one of the conditions of getting the fob would be to enter and exit through the point of entry.
So that they don't go on the Southern Neighbors public beach?
So they don't take their dog to Elder.
Yeah.
Well, but isn't our real focus with this so they don't go on the Southern Neighbors beach?
No.
As one of our residents did? And before you call the question, let me just finish my sentence. And who was exonerated because the dog and the owner were on the high water.
I didn't hear you.
I move to call the question.
I have not had my 3 minutes.
Okay.
Doesn't hear.
Well, I have comments on a different point.
Okay.
No one seconded it.
Okay.
Unless someone wants to motion to call the question.
Does anyone
Anybody want to second it?
I would like to second it after once had a chance to speak.
Okay, I reviewed the original conduct ordinance 504, and I observed that that conduct ordinance did not include the scope of play fields. With the March 2023 change that was not published in our packet ahead of time that we could not review, I observed that the Skokie playfield had been slipped in that change when we adopted ordinance 596. It is unclear to me why that happened, and so I wanted to put out for discussion, should the Skokie playfields, because there is a playground, because it is a high traffic area, because we have invested 1.4 million in brand new turf that we do not want dogs going to the bathroom on and people not cleaning up, that perhaps we might want to consider removing that
As a,
as a place, as a designated dog-friendly area.
It is, I don't know, yeah.
you might have to get more specific on that.
I would like to remove it from
Well-
section 2.
Well, here's the thing though, if unintended consequence of removing that, since you brought it up, is that there could be families watching a, I don't know, flag football game or any sport. You have the stands on the east side here. Families sometimes bring their dog to that edge. They don't really go into Skokie Playfield. So I just,
So maybe we need to put parentheses on, if they're permitted on the eastern edge of the Skokie playfields. But this, the way it's written, means that you can be anywhere with your dog on leash. Your dog could be out in the turf
And we've
on
seen
leash.
it, we've seen it.
Or we could restrict it to say Skokie playfield excluding the turf. I just feel like it was not in here. It was not discussed when this amendment was slipped in March of 2023, and it's like a major area to have dogs.
All right, so this is a whole separate piece, am I correct?
No, it's the ordinance that we're discussing
I know.
right now.
I'm not in disagreement with it. You know that's my bugaboo, is seeing dogs on that turf field and how people can properly pick up after them. You can't. So you know I'm not in disagreement with it. I'm just trying to piece out how we do this.
well, that's very easy. Motion to table, or to.
No.
Well, I would like to make a motion to amend this to clearly identify that the Skokie playfield does not include dogs on leash on the turf.
I haven't read it. I feel uncomfortable doing that without having, read it, but.
Exactly how we felt when some of us abstained in 2023.
As a concept, I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Is there, I will second your motion to amend, and I would like to further amend to include the following language under section 2, the third paragraph that has all of the full place underlined language. In the penultimate sentence, after the designated point of ingress and egress, to add the following: unless the dog is on leash and the dog and dog owner are walking the public high water mark.
We can only do one at a time.
I just a question about that. So I don't, my understanding after many discussions with the public high watermark is we don't have any authority to restrict or enable anything on that. So if somebody walks down to the public high watermark and they walk to Wisconsin, then so be it. They didn't egress out of a park district egress that we didn't approve. If they walk along the public high water mark and then they leave through an elder stairway, then they're in violation of the rules. So it seems it's already kind of covered. If we can't restrict what happens in that public high water mark area, then it's kind of a.
So I want to clarify. We are not restricting where they go with their dog. What we are restricting is whether they get a foul from the park district.
Correct. By default, you're taking that right away if someone goes down Centennial, leashes their dog, and starts walking. You're saying they are in violation, and that is why I am suggesting this mandatory language. Is there a second to my?
We can only do one motion. We can only do one amendment at a time.
Okay, then I will hold my amendment.
Cynthia, Cynthia, can you, I haven't seen the language that you found, or,
I have the, here it is. Here it is.
like I said, conceptually, I agree with it, it's just that, you know, it's hard to prevent something that you're not looking at and agreeing to.
Okay, this was currently pushed through on March 23rd, 2023. The amendment was not in our packet, and you will see that it adds Skokie, so here it is.
Do you want the 504 original? It's on our website under ordinances.
Here,
I'm just
No,
thinking,
that is correct. I don't know why, what you described is that it was not in 504 and it is in 596. That is correct. I don't have any idea what the motivation
Yeah.
was, but that is an
Okay.
accurate statement.
all right, so what you are making a motion for is to remove Skokie Playfield under section 203, to remove it as, a part where domesticated dogs are permitted, other than the portion of stands that runs east of the fence. Is that correct?
Otherwise known as the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we
I mean,
talked
but
about
you want
elder.
people to be able to sit in the stands, right? There's stands.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm flexible if there's more consensus to keep them off the turf.
So commissioners, can I ask for a point of clarification? Skokie Playfield is considered this entire campus.
Okay.
So while it does not say that in the ordinance itself, that's what it is, that is what's considered the Skokie Playfield campus. That's what we're doing a master plan for
Yeah, it
right
just
now.
says Skokie Playfield. Okay,
So-
we're all thinking this.
Right, so I mean, again, this is something that is just being brought up tonight. And from a perspective of what the village is even gonna do on the other things in regards to tower, I don't know that we could approve something right now anyway, because we don't know what the village is going to do. And it is also potentially premature to allow dogs at tower if the village hasn't approved their pilot
So
program.
you're saying just table the whole ordinance?
I would say potentially postpone it to be able to look at what those
Okay.
things that the board wants to look at. Because we all know that ordinance 504 in total needs work.
Yes.
So that's been something that has been on the list to look at.
Okay.
But we also have a lot of other things on our list that we're working on. So if we're piecing something together that's more than just the one specific thing, staff would appreciate more clarification.
Okay. I think that's a
Where's the motion?
fine plan. I'd like to make a motion to postpone the discussion of Park District Ordinance 504 to our July, what's the date of our July meeting?
23rd.
The July 23rd Park District meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that's roll call vote.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Rath?
Yes.
Commissioner Corley?
Yes.
Commissioner Kodo?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner Seaman?
Yes.
President Gibson?
Yes.
The motion passed.
I would like to,
Could you do a brief summary of what we've done today for anybody who might be still watching?
all right. We adopted the version of the amendment to the lease that the village had attached to its agenda for its meeting last night. We have adopted that change to the lease, subject to the village changing its ordinance regarding Centennial Beach, such that dogs can continue to be on Centennial Beach. We have, I think, entertained numerous different concerns regarding Park District Ordinance 504, and we will be returning to our meeting on July 23rd to further discuss that ordinance.
So we've supported Centennial Beach. In fact, we're insisting on Centennial Beach staying open for dogs.
Yes,
We're supporting the pilot program
Yes.
on Tower Beach
Yes.
for dogs. Okay, thank you.
Do we need anything official, meaning a vote, a motion to offer to the trustees on a shared study session? Or is that could be part of your normal
That's a good
discussion with
question. I don't
President?
know. Yeah,
Or
is
your with Kristen?
We can ask to see if that's of interest.
Yeah, okay.
Although I think it'd be nice to get it on record that we're requesting.
Okay. May I have a motion to direct?
Wait.
Oh, sorry, you.
Wait, time out. This is a special meeting,
Oh,
so
okay.
we can only discuss things that are.
That we're on the agenda, okay.
You guys have expressed clearly what your interest is.
Okay.
So administratively, I'm sure we can follow.
Right, and then secondly, I believe we also discussed about discussions with rangers to maybe have them be less, what's the word I want? Rigorous in their interface with our Dog Beach patrons on Centennial. Because feedback that I also received was they were telling people over the weekend that effective July 1, the Centennial Dog Beach would close. So we're getting a lot of feedback, and I know our people are working very hard to try to do a good job. But it's how we interface with.
So I will follow up on that. I have not been aware of any staff that have been telling the public incorrect information about a closure of the facility, but we will double check on that. And, but I would ask for clarification on the definition of rigorous.
My definition of rigorous is where you are being punitive. And some community members have come back and said they feel like they're being harassed. And and that's an individual perception. If someone's told that they shouldn't do something, they often feel like they're being harassed. It just depends on individual perception. But I received repeated communications from residents that over the weekend, that they were being told that the Dog Beach would close effective July 1st.
And like I mentioned, we will check into that, absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Of course.
I will say that we've also received a lot of compliments on the rangers, so they are being effective in terms of clearing beaches at night and so forth. It's a new program. There's some training. There has been training done. There's maybe some more training to be done. I think that most of them are most likely very respectful, but they are being asked to remind Dog Beach users that the current rules on leash. All right, so I would like to ask any commissioners if they have any comment during the commissioner comment period. Commissioner Rapp?
The only thing that I would say is that, we have a lot of energy around off-leash use. And, a few years back, there was an interest to put an off-leash dog park on the west side of town. And I know that our village negotiation of an intergovernmental agreement related to lakefront and dog park issues, I do think now, would be a good time to at least get a temperature check on, the stormwater project is complete. Is that still of interest? Is it still feasible? Because I do think that would be viewed positively to have another off-leash dog area. And that was identified as a site that was generally accepted and not controversial.
Which was that?
Over
there, okay, yeah. No, actually not the top,
Mid-level,
sort of,
from
yeah.
mid-level.
The mid-level.
Right.
I think it would be good just to
Right,
float the
okay.
idea.
Okay. Any other commissioner comment? Commissioner Croto, we'll just go along real quick.
I would like for all of us to have a fence at Centennial or a barrier of some type. So I'm boldly asking for a barrier permit. I don't want to speculate or float conspiracy theories. I want us all to work together for that same goal, because I think good fences make good neighbors, and I think that's the way we should run Centennial Dog Beach. The village was definitely swayed by the number of people that came yesterday. By my count, there were about 65 people. They were definitely swayed. If that same group of 65 people had come to the May 19th hearing wherein the trustees decided, or each of the advisory committee hearings, we might have had a different outcome, because the village definitely responds to calls, letters, and physical presence. So I think their desire is to understand how many people really want a fence permit at Centennial. And I think that would help us advance this cause.
Well, I think the devil's in the detail with fencing. Many people viewed our proposals as being a pen rather than a fence, and you've heard tonight from particularly Linda Welch, where she talked about her experiences at Montrose Beach in Chicago, and as well as Wilson Beach, where it is not a totally what Susie Schreiber has described as a Cold War East Fernland beach that had barbed wire fencing, and I say that in jest. What I would like to see is us addressing the claims we've had for discrimination with respect to the access to Centennial Beach. Quite frankly, I agree with Commissioner Rapp. I would like to see Centennial open to everyone that cares to use it. My proposal this evening, that I know I handed out late hours because I was working on it as soon as I could, was to offer anyone who gets a season beach pass the right at the time they do that to have a fob, even if they don't have a dog, so that they have the opportunity to go on to Centennial, and certainly to recover administrative costs. I don't know what it costs for the fob or the authorization to make fob work. At the same time, I recognize there needs to be a different path for those who wish to take their dog on, and I am not suggesting that we would reduce our police oversight of that in any fashion. In fact, my language makes it much stricter, so that if you have a dog that is running off leash on the tableland of Centennial, that individual would lose the right of that dog to access parks, and I'm not just limiting it to Centennial. But again, I'd like to see everyone have the opportunity to access Centennial Beach. It's beautiful. Everyone should have that right. So I'd ask for your consideration until our next meeting of some of the language that I've put in what I just handed out to you.
Are you yielding your 35 seconds to me? Just kidding.
Yes.
Listen, comments by Rapp, Kodo, Root, myself, others tonight, absolutely fit with sitting down with the village in a manner that we can come to a solution. I know we can do it. The process that we elected to do this process, by the way. We elected to go through this permitting process. It does not fit the intricacies of the very broad, diverse demand of the community. I want to sit down, and I'm sure the village, they're tired of this, we're tired of it. We need to sit down and negotiate respectfully, exchange, along with members of the community, of course, a very workable solution. It can absolutely be done. I know it can be done.
But I go back to my first question. If stanchions create a legal dog beach, why didn't the village just say, put stanchions up at Centennial and you're good? Why didn't they do that? I don't know. I guess perhaps, I have 1 minute, 32 seconds. It is quote unquote common knowledge in the community that Ishpia has threatened a lawsuit to pretty much everybody. I don't know that, but apparently during the public comment, I don't know if that's having impact, but I want to find a solution that creates a barrier, that allows whatever that is, and allows for dogs to run off leash. That's Centennial. And respecting, obviously, Mr. Edwardson's comments tonight that events do happen. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciated Commissioner Root's comments earlier about home rule. And although council clarified that we cannot extrapolate what the village intended at this point, I think it's still something worth discussion. I think, I don't know what the correct expression is, but let's just go with the cat's out of the bag. Home rule has been introduced into the ether and to the community. It'd be nice if we could continue discussions around that, how it applies to other areas within the village.
Regardless of what other dog parks do, I believe we should have a fence, whether the dog park is at Tower or Centennial or both, for the protection of the people in the park, the pets in the park, and the people outside the dog park. It's really, it's just very common sense that if dogs are enclosed, it's safer. Pretty much every dog park I've been to has the 2-gate entryway. When I try to go to a dog park and I'm not allowed to because the community requires me to register and I can't get through the fence unless I've proven the health of my dog, I think, well, that's a responsible community. The characterization of a fence as a World War II barbed wire cage, I think, is not helpful. That puts an image in people's heads that we're building some monstrosity. If you look at the Lakota plan that you handed out, it has the same type of fencing, same brand, same color, same vinyl coating, and that's what, if we want a dog beach at Tower, we should implement that plan. There's a fence that goes out into the water, connects to a breakwater, and keeps dogs from leaving. It does, like there's examples of good and bad dog parks and all sorts of arrangements. I believe any dog off-leash park should have an enclosure, and that means open on the lakeside. You can swim all the way to Michigan if you want, but fences that can believably keep the dogs off, where they are off leash. That's what I think.
I'm actually not going to get Commissioner comment. So at this time, I would like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:30.
So moved.
Second.
And that's all in favor?
Aye.